Motion to return to public session. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Second. Thank you. Call to order. Opening statement. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. There are two opportunities for the public to speak. The first is at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second is at the end of the meeting for other items. Any individual desiring to speak shall give his or her name, address, and the group, if any, that is represented. The presentation shall be as brief as possible, but no more than 3 minutes per individual. And there are certain matters that may be brought before the board that cannot be immediately addressed in public. Such matters may be referred by the president to a board committee and/or to the superintendent for consideration and/or resolution. And the board vests in its president or other presiding officer authority to terminate the remarks of any individual if he or she deems it in the best interest to do so. Do I need to roll call again, or are we good? No. Okay, good. Could we stand for flag salute, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you. So we don't usually have this many people in the audience, so thanks everyone for coming out. I do know if you saw, there's probably not a spot to be had in the parking lot. And I see some National Honor Society people that made it over, so very good. Congratulations. Tonight was the National Honor Society for all languages, so for any of those that came from there. So this is our committee of the whole meeting. So for those that haven't come, usually we have 2 meetings each month. The first one is the committee of the whole, when essentially we don't vote on anything this meeting, but we talk about curriculum instruction and other things that are going on within the district. Next week is our public meeting where we do presentations and where we basically take votes, and like next week we'll be approving the budget. So I know a lot of people are here to speak possibly about the dance program, I believe. I believe the board administrator has a sign-in sheet over there. It might be going around. We just asked, so like if you heard what I said, basically the laws say 3 minutes per individual. So this way we know what everyone's going to do. What happens is you'll come to the microphone, your name and address, and then we'll listen to what you have to say. And we probably won't have an open dialogue back and forth. If anything, once everyone is completed, then we could actually have comments after that, because otherwise we'll be here till midnight, and I don't think everyone wants to be here till midnight. So sit tight. We'll go through our agenda. There's not a ton of stuff, and then you guys get to speak. So, presentation, public hearing. There's questions or comments for public on action items only. We're not taking any action. Do we have any board? Oh, and by the way, you don't see Dr. Cascone here. So Dr. Cascone, this is his first meeting. He's missed in 4 years. His daughter is a senior at Jefferson School in Pennsylvania, and she has a huge presentation for her, for the end of her time there. So he regretfully misses. I believe he might be online, but he just wanted to let everyone know that. So this is the first time this seat has been empty in a long time. So board liaison reports. Do we have any? That's the kids. The kids are not here. Any subcommittee reports? I don't think anyone.
No, because Cal is for
right. So we should have none. That's good. Old business, subscription busing update, and then with the HYAA facility flat rate fees.
Okay.
Deb, you want to?
Yep. You want to do? You want to do the flat fee first?
That's easier, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
When we last met and spoke about flat fee, when we last met and spoke about flat fee, the board was kind of split between what we had as an option 2 and 3, where option 2 was an increase of 25% over 25-26, but HYAA would be at 50%, and option 3 was 50% increase with HYAA at 75%. What I'm presenting for a vote for next week after speaking with board leadership is to move to option 2 for HFA, Holmdel Soccer and Chinese School, which is 25% over 25-26, but HYAA in between options 2 and 3 at 60% increase. And then noting that we will notify these users that these rates will continue to increase over years, more in line with an a la carte rate in line with other users of the public. So any questions or comments?
I think that this is a great kind of middle ground between the two. We were definitely split when we spoke about it between option 2 and 3. So I think that this is, a little bit in between option 2 and 3. And I know that HYAA would be grateful for that extra runway on time as we start to increase.
I know when we talked about options 1, 2, and 3, we had talked about maybe from a forecasting perspective, saying a couple of years out, are we going to be prepared to?
At this time, we can't.
At this
We're
time,
not allowed to.
Oh, okay.
So it's just going to be a conversation of, we're going
Right,
to be
it's coming.
increasing it
Understood.
yearly.
Okay.
But-
Each board, subsequent board would have to vote.
Understood.
On those rates.
Okay. I know we had talked about the possibility of,
Yeah. So we
just
would
from a forecasting
communicate that
perspective.
increases will continue, but we can't set the rates.
Okay.
And we did have a few, I know at least from the HYA, a few of the commissioners had reached out and basically said, hey, can you help us out? Because that is, as small of a number as it may seem, percentage-wise, it's a massive number for them. And it does have the conversation of, potentially going back to the township. And if everyone remembers for the last couple of meetings, for the first time ever, and as long as I've sat here, we talked about possibly closing the schools. That's unheard of. Obviously it's all Holmdel kids going and playing basketball here and volleyball and whatever else. So, so maybe at least the township can possibly help them or however it might be. But I'm in agreement. I think I guess the meeting in the middle is helpful, and then at least they know what's coming down the road. And I can tell you this 12,500 for HYA, that's been the same for like at least 7, 8 years. So if anything, they've gotten over really well. And obviously, board's very grateful for all the scoreboards and the different things they've donated. But at the end of the day, they're using all those things that they're donating. So it's a benefit to us. But I think Deb, thanks for going through this. Any other board comment? See none. Okay, that's good. So this will be on the agenda for next week.
Yes.
And then the next one was courtesy busing. You should see a
Subscription, yep.
subscription busing. So for those in the audience that know, unfortunately, we had to make the painful, obviously, the budget's terrible. As long as, some of us sat here, this is the worst budget we've ever seen, by far. So one of the things, courtesy busing, if you haven't heard, courtesy busing is basically a thing that the district has provided for at least the last 20 years, that if you live 2 miles to Indian Hill or Village or Sats, you would have to walk. If you live 2.5 miles from the high school, you would have to walk. For as long as my kids went to school and both graduated now, they had a bus available to them, but they would have to walk to Village School. So unfortunately, with the budget the way it is, we had to cut courtesy bus, or next week when we approve the budget, that would be without courtesy busing. So one of the things that, and by the way, there's only 3 districts left in Monmouth County that will be providing courtesy busing after next week. So it's really not very, most of the districts it's either get rid of courtesy busing or get rid of teachers or staff. So we have an option, which the BA can explain, a subscription busing option that I know Hazlitt, for example, uses, and I think this is somewhat similar to what they do, or
It's a
modeled.
composite of different districts and whatnot.
So if you want to speak
Yep,
to it a little bit?
So with the elimination of courtesy busing, the district will be offering a subscription busing whereby families can pay for a seat on a bus. Sandra Perillo, who's our transportation coordinator, and Betty Jordan, who's her assistant, reached out to various schools around the state that have eliminated or will be eliminating, just to see how they manage the process. And based on that information, we've come up with a process that would be most beneficial in Holmdel. At this point today, we did share with the township the crossing guard locations that we were recommending, and we will continue to work with the township on developing those locations and any changes that would come to that based on anybody that subscribes. The next step that they're working on is developing a list or a grid, which will be on our website, that will have each street and each school, so it'll be a cross grid, as to whether if you live on this street and you go to this school, whether transportation is provided or not. So that would be on the website for families to look at to determine if you're impacted by a transportation. We're hoping to have that done by May 11th, but it is a very tedious process. She has to look at every street and coordinates and determine whether or not that street is eligible. And on some streets, depending on how large that street is, it could be a split street. So just be patient as we develop that.
And Deb, the mileage is not as the crow flies. It's based on street, correct? Drivable, right? It's not like I'm here and it's a radius. It is based on what's drivable,
Right,
correct?
right.
Just so that everyone understands
Right.
that.
Yeah,
We're
Kyle,
not
I can't
expecting
remember.
people to walk through backyards to close in a space, right?
It's been a question on some of the groups.
It's on the frequently
so-
asked questions. There is a
Yep.
frequently asked question on the website that Dr. Cascone put on the website and also shared that explains the courtesy busing in more detail.
Is it possible that there's neighborhoods that will never qualify for mandatory busing? Do we know the
I guess it
geography
really
well
depends
enough?
on
Like-
your proximity to each school. So as a child moves, kids who are in third grade now moving to Indian Hill, they could have been courtesy busing, but they may be mandatory busing going forward. So you can't look at where your kid is now, you have to look at where your student is for the coming school year.
I can't
Right.
think of a neighborhood that would be 2.5 miles for every school.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't.
That's why this process is
Yeah,
becoming
it'd be so tedious.
gonna
I was going
change
to say,
every
because I
year.
think when we talked about this last year, obviously, we had the shared service, so we kept it, we were able to keep it last year. But I think, Kyle, like, the legalese with that, it's the commutable, like, the pathways, whether it's walkways, roadways, et cetera, the shortest distance that is drivable or walkable or something like that.
Two quick questions.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, which is why it's so tedious and time-consuming to figure out what actually qualifies as 2 miles or not.
So what about like mixed, right? So what if you have a household of a few kids and some are within for, like, say, SATs, and then there's an older student that is for the high school, but you're right in between those, but if they're already stopping there, is it split now where you have to drive one anyway?
Yes.
Or if they're stopping, they can
You
go
could
on?
subscribe.
Right,
because
but
otherwise
not
we
if,
could
right, so if
eliminate
the bus
routes.
is coming anyway, they're not picking up all of the kids who are going to the same stop.
No.
Because of the school distance, right? You have a split household, right? That's the,
Correct.
it's just the
Just
odd,
the
the odd
Saturday
little
night.
thing
It's an
that
odd
comes out of
thing,
this.
But
yeah.
it is, but we can change our routes and fit two routes together if those students aren't subscribing and aren't coming on the bus, and that's where the savings comes.
And the other clarification is subscription busing is not a guaranteed fallback, right? So from what I understood in our discussions, I thought we still had to do the survey to see who of the impacted families would sign on for this, and then still have to put it out to bid to see if any bus company would pick this up if it made
Right.
sense for their business
The-
model,
the
right? So this is
subscrip-
not
right. So-
guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
The next step would be, after we have the list together, is to put out a survey to families to say, is there an interest?
Right.
You may have 50% of families saying, hey, you know what? I already drive my kid.
Right.
Not needed, or I live close enough, my child's going
Yeah.
to walk, right?
Right, so based on that need is
Based
when
on
you
that,
put it out.
then we'll develop the routes, and where we have to go out to bid, go out to bid. We may not get bids back.
Correct.
Right.
That's
So
that's
then
the
we
point
would
I just wanted to
determine
make.
how many seats we have.
Correct.
And then the application would go out, first come, first serve, as far as how many seats we have in various districts. Some will be bus stops that are community bus stops. It's not going to necessarily be the same exact route or location, depending on who's subscribing and what spots are on each bus. So it's very, again, very tedious, very detailed, process. We're hoping that we have that survey out on or before May 15th, and then the applications hopefully by June 15th. Again, spaces on a first come, first served basis. We're not going to be adding routes after we come up with our routes. It is a firm commitment. Once you apply and you pay, there are no refunds, not even a prorated refund, because we have to be able to cover the cost, otherwise we won't recognize the savings. Again, centralized stops, or students will be placed at an existing stop on a route. Cost is per student. It is not multi-student discount, because again, we have to cover the full cost of the route. Discounts will be offered to students who are eligible for free reduced meals based on an application at the time, based on their status at the time that they apply for subscription busing. And we're probably going to use Parent Square to do, the surveys and the application and payment processing. It's probably the best means to collect everything.
And I just ask, I know Parent Square Communications will go out. Can we do a recorded call out to the community? Because I know it's June. Some people just leave town
Yes.
and
No,
just.
the communication will be multifaceted.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
I just for the actual application, we can push out the application and.
It's just
you
to
know, get
remind
those
folks
back
that
and
you
the
got to
payment
take a look
process.
and commit to it so that we can make a
Yes.
decision. Awesome,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
mean, the process is going to be, we're going to get a survey back, you have to say no, right? It's not going to be, oh, we got 10, it's going to be all applications back, yes, no, and we will hound you like.
Right.
you
And if
know.
anything, I think there were 700 some odd people affected for next
Students,
year.
students, but
affected.
families, I don't
And then
know.
next year it'll be a different number. But at least I was just going to say the same thing, Ray's. And I'm glad we have you have to say no to the response so we could keep getting that down to zero. Because I know there's certain parents that have no idea that they're losing busing. I just know that. I'm not happy about that, but at least if we can make sure they know that this is happening, so we can get a true, because these bus companies, if they can't make profit, they're not going to do these routes. So that's going to make a definitely, bit of a problem.
Right, plus, I mean, we understand that they already have bus driver shortages and whatnot, so, the timing of it, we're
So
concerned.
my assumption is for the next couple of meetings, we will continue to keep this on the agenda, continue to talk about it and say, okay, we have 700, we've heard back from 500 or 300, just
We'll keep
so we can
updating.
keep doing it, just so we do our due diligence for those parents that are going to be losing a thing that we've had for 20-plus years, or whatever it is. So, on your crossing guards, do you know approximately how many? The number?
The crossing guard?
Yeah.
No, we provided all
The
of the
locations?
street locations
Okay.
and where we thought crossing guards, then they will have to determine how many in order to get that funding into their budget by next week.
And I understand that it's.
Township employees, right? The crossing guards, they won't be our
They're
employees.
not
No, it's
our
under them.
employees, township employees.
But what I understand is that the township is not legally obligated, unless I'm wrong, to provide crossing guards and safe passage across whatever. So obviously, this will become a township issue for those people that might be affected. But obviously, we're going to give them as much information from, Deb and Sandra, who runs transportation, so we can
Yep.
at least go there. Okay. That's it for that? Good? New business. First reporting period. Is that Amanda or is that you? That's
Dr. Lamoglia.
that's what I thought. Oh, there she is. Sorry.
I'm right here.
You're sitting in Bella's seat.
Absolutely. All right, so as most names, titles in education, we like our acronyms. So I will share out the full title of this report. It's the Student Safety Data System Reporting, and that happens twice per year. The first reporting happens between September 1st through December 31st, and then the second reporting happens come January 1st through the end of the school year. So I'm reporting out on the first period, and this is required by the state of New Jersey and reflects all reporting incidents related to violence, vandalism, substance abuse, weapons, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So just an overview of what the district reported for that first period. The district conducted 10 HIB investigations. 4 of them were substantiated and 6 were unsubstantiated. All the investigations were completed during the required timelines, and we reviewed all of our findings with the Board of Education during that period of time. In addition, there were a total of 47 suspensions district-wide, with the majority occurring, of course, at the high school, at the secondary level. High school having the highest number, followed by Indian Hill, Sats Middle School, and then Village Elementary. What we lean towards, obviously, is always going to be in-school suspension, remains the primary response, and the focus of that is to reinforce our commitment to keeping students in the learning environment as much as possible, as opposed to out-of-school suspensions, but they are still utilized for more selectively, but primarily for more serious infractions that happen. And the majority of suspensions are short in duration, so typically 1 to 2 days, reflecting more corrective action, instructional approach rather than punitive ones. In terms of our trends and what we've seen, most incidents involved verbal interactions, such as name-calling, inappropriate language. As expected, some behavioral complexities increase at the secondary level, including issues related to peer interactions, decision-making, rule compliance, of course. And then across all cases, responses included a balance of discipline, counseling support, and restorative practices as well. As far as our district focus continues to be on prevention, we are strengthening our Tier 1 school climate supports, including initiatives such as Week of Respect, student engagement activities, and digital wellness efforts. And these proactive approaches are designed to build culture of inclusion, respect, and positive peer interactions. We also have a great relationship with the Stavola Foundation, who comes in, does a lot of great presentations regarding vaping, drug use, and harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Looking ahead, we're going to continue to expand our social emotional learning supports, continuing staff training on distinguishing conflict versus harassment, intimidation, and bullying, using data more intentionally to kind of guide our interventions and how we're supporting our students, and expanding our restorative practices to support students' accountability and reflection. But in summary, the district is looking towards a proactive, responsive, and, grounded in compliance and care, strategic planning towards addressing all of these concerns.
Thank you, Amanda. Any
welcome.
questions or comments?
This,
So this is, I was going to say, this is every year we have to do this.
Every single year, we're mandated to report out.
Right, and this is from September to basically the end of December, right?
Yes.
And then we'll do this again.
Well, it goes through the end of June, and generally, the state does not require us to report this until August, which
Right.
would mean in the fall, we'll come back to this.
Right, exactly, okay.
this is, doesn't include like attendance or anything like that. This is the other, okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So comparative numbers, are we going to get that late? Compared to last year, how?
So actually,
numbers
it's
are?
funny, I did look this up just earlier, and it's actually right on par. So very similar numbers. I think last year we had 6 substantiated HIBs during that first reporting period, and a total of 12 investigations, so really similar in number. And the infractions continue to be at 36 so from suspensions. So again, on par.
Yeah, we want 0. Just, all right. Bus evacuation drills, I guess that's,
Yeah.
Art, thank you, Art.
Hi. So twice a year, school districts are required to do bus evacuation drills in accordance with New Jersey code. So just if you're not familiar with the drills, like every building, either the principal or the transportation director is outside guiding this, helping to guide the students as they're getting off the bus. They turn on the lights, they open up the rear door, and they evacuate students out of the back of the bus. So this happened at Village, Indian Hill, and also here at the complex. There's really nothing that negative that came out of that. So all the drills were conducted, and I think we're good for the year. I think this is already our second one that we had to do.
Any questions for Art? See none, all right. Diligent community, I think that's the additional document you should have in your packet.
Yep.
Is that-
Yep, that's good.
Okay. I don't know
So
this one.
Diligent Community provides a platform for school districts to develop their board agendas, house everything, and also develop and house the minutes. And there are other features as well. Currently in the board office and in Dr. Cascone's office, the process to develop an agenda is very paper-bound, and it does not allow for multiple users to be accessing the agenda simultaneously. It's very labor-intense. When there's a change made, we're going through the whole process again. Diligent Community used to be called Board Docs, so if anybody has had experience in other districts, that was the previous name. So this will streamline the process for us and provide an easier accessibility platform for board members and for the public to access agendas and minutes. One of the biggest things that will help us also is the agenda has search capabilities, which we don't have right now because they're paper documents, and you have to know a timeline and be able to go through and try to find and search an actual document. So finding something is very, very difficult. So we will have archived board minutes also loaded into there, so that will be very helpful. Also, it allows for note-taking. In your packet is just a screenshot of what an agenda would look like. So on your Chromebook during the meeting, if when you were reviewing, you put down notes, you would have your notes right next to those items that said, hey, I wanted to make a comment about, the bus ride today, or something. So that'll be, another help. So our plan is to begin implementation May 1st with Diligent, and hopefully go live with our July board meeting for board members. They will offer training to us, so you will not be in the dark. We will show you how to use the platform. The other piece of it would be our policy publisher. So currently, we're using board docs in the background now that we've moved to New Jersey school boards, but that's going to be eventually going away. So we're probably going to hold off on that until probably a January timeframe, so we can get more used to the Diligent platform for agendas and minutes, and then put the policy publisher piece in as well. The nice thing about policy publisher is when we're in the midst of drafting and making changes, as a board member, you can see and all the tracked changes that were made to a policy. So you'll see, this is the old policy, this is what the track changes are, and here's the new policy. And it'll all be linked right into the agenda, and you can hit on it and then go right to that page. So,
And Deb, this is, you said, this is replacing, excuse me, this is replacing board docs, which.
so the platform that
The platform, right.
eventually is
And
going to go
so-
away.
And board docs was what we had approved when moving to NJSBA as our policy holder. So it's not like this is necessarily additional, we're just shifting from
Well,
board docs to,
From a cost perspective, there is an additional cost to go to policy publisher, because New Jersey School Boards, from my understanding, it has been offering that board docs platform
okay?
free of charge. So we have an option of having PDF files housed just in Diligent Community or using the publisher.
Okay.
You know, so we can make that decision. I don't want to do that right now.
No, that's fine.
Closer to
That's why
January.
I was trying to, okay.
But, yeah.
We choose this option without the policy publisher
We are
and do
going
that
to
later.
start- mhm.
Right,
We're going
yeah.
to start just with the agendas and minutes and that process for the July board meeting, and then we will discuss policy publisher as we get closer. Because I don't know when they're getting rid of board docs. If we can push that off even another year, you know, I'm fine with that as well. But I don't want to be left with no platform and PDFs.
Agreed. No, I understand. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
So this isn't on next week's?
There's no agenda
agenda?
for it. I
Okay,
just wanted
wanna
to,
make sure.
you know,
Okay.
just information that this is coming. We want to improve that process and just
Sure.
efficiencies for our offices.
Like,
So
for
we-
example, if we wanted to, you know, with the tennis court discussion we've been having, if we wanted to go look for the old contract, if you don't have someone who was here from back in the day,
Right,
you would
nobody-
almost be a struggle going, I think it was that year or whatever, and, you know, or, okay, that would help with that.
Right.
And all these documents will be still housed in our world, like in the Holmdels, you know, on Carlos or Matt's, you
Yes,
know.
and then the public would be able to go in and also sign up to receive notifications. And the other thing is, you know, now you keep getting emails and we keep resending everything.
Yes.
So if on Monday morning before a board meeting, we made a change, you would just get a notification, hey, this was
Here's the change.
changed, right?
Okay.
As opposed to us having to
Right.
reconsolidate everything and send everything
It's
out
like
again.
a Google Doc, essentially, for
It's
this. in a way.
probably
Yeah,
like
okay.
a, you know.
Okay.
Is this gonna get away from all of the paper printouts, even just leaving over there where, let's have a QR code and people can, if
That's
they're
what we
in
did
the
last board meeting.
audience?
We did a
Yeah.
QR code last board meeting.
Instead
for the
of,
attachments.
let's save some trees and money.
Save some yes.
Yes.
And so is it, I'm sorry if I missed this, but the board docs or whatever the current system is sunsetting with the school board association that pays for it?
With regard to policies, yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when. It's coming, because this platform is going to be replacing that, and there's no word that school boards is going to supplement that cost.
Okay, so
going forward.
the base annual fee would still fall to us then? It's not being hosted by the school board association for us?
Correct.
Okay.
You mentioned something about if a policy change, there'll be a notification sent out to the community, or?
No, to board members.
Oh,
You'd
okay.
be able to see the track changes
Okay.
and whatnot.
Okay.
Question, just to clarify, so this is going to be the migration regardless? This is not something to be voted on?
No, it's not voting, right.
Right,
No,
it's
no
happening
vote.
regardless? Okay, all right, thank you.
I do have positive
Unless everybody was
experience.
against it, but,
I was just going to say, I have positive experience in the private sector using Diligent, so
okay.
for audit committee meetings and.
I'd love to hear that.
there is a committee section of it, again, another cost, and it's something we can discuss later, that has not been put into the budget.
So no doubt, this does sound more efficient and also not from a cost standpoint, not only from a cost standpoint, but also trees. But I didn't know if we were going to take a look at base case now versus where we're going, if we were going to compare cost benefit. But if it's migrating that way regardless, there's not really anything to review. Thank you.
And this platform, the new Diligent Community, is less expensive than I had in my previous districts with board docs, because it was also, board docs was also used for agendas, minutes, and the minute generation was very difficult under the old board docs. It's unbelievable. Like, I was so happy to see, the minute generation. It will generate the minutes straight from the agenda with all the attachments, and then we would just add the notes from the discussions during the board meeting. So it really does save time, so you can just go in, put in the roll call, it puts all the, voting counts in and whatnot. It's really a great platform.
So this is something general everybody uses, it's not necessarily for the school board, you're saying, you said you used it too.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah, they do it in the
sector as
private
well.
sector as well. So we're sending out audit committee meeting minutes, right, similar every quarter, communicating with board members, stuff like that, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you all. All right, item 4 is review of agenda items, action items for next week. So if there's anyone, if you looked through your board meeting for next week, if there's any questions or comments.
Yeah, so I did, and I brought this to Dr. Cascone. I know he's not here tonight, so the conversation kind of continues behind the scenes, but I did bring up and I don't remember which number it is.
I think that's 20-something. Number 17,
Yeah,
right?
17. So approval of job description, assistant principal, athletic, physical education supervisor. So I guess my understanding is that we're promoting within the athletic director to an assistant principal, and so I have some concerns and questions that I'm asking, that I'm working through, but I was just making that kind of publicly known to the board. Just trying to make sure we're challenging, thinking about stuff. We're obviously in really hard times, right, with budgets and making some tough decisions, so I need some more context around.
Yeah, I think when Scott was, so the athletic director right now, besides all the sports programs and teams, is also in charge of the physical education, and Dr. Harris is here, he could speak to it a little bit, but basically does the physical education from kindergarten through 12th grade. So, and over the last decade, we've probably had, 4+ athletic directors, and obviously with the challenges we've had within the high school of having assistant principals, this will give us another supervisory type individual, and this is Mr. Casal we're talking about. So, we could still definitely talk about this, for the next week, obviously, make sure all the board members have their questions answered. I know I'm okay with it. I understand where he's coming from. I think it's a good thing. And, it puts a lot of, onus responsibility on Mr. Casal, who I'm sure, actually, there's no game at Rogie, but I know he's here. Usually his nights extend to 6, 7 o'clock at night, generally speaking, almost for all 3 seasons, So I think that's where Scott was going, just to try to make sure that we keep the continuity, knowing that we've had 4 ADs. It's almost every 2 years we're getting a new athletic director. So having continuity is important, I think, on
So
that.
I'm just going to say, first of all, he's a supervisor, he's not an athletic director, so it's a supervisor.
Yeah.
And they get, supervisors and vice principals have the same salary band. So it's not necessarily a salary bump, it is, but that being said, the only thing on the agenda is the job description. That job, if that posting goes up, it would have to, correct? It would have to be posted, and an people have to apply, so it's not
Depends on board
given.
policy whether you require postings, but certainly you need a
I'm
job
pretty sure we
description
do.
before you are,
Yeah, so this is,
Point
right
time.
now, it's just the job description if we're willing to do that for the, into the complex.
Yeah, that's good to know. I took it as, it was assumed somebody was filling it, but it's good to know that, because that was one of my questions too, right? Do you go out, do you
Yeah.
post it, all that stuff?
And we can make sure all those questions, at least between now and next Wednesday, get ironed out, so at least you're comfortable with what he's saying.
Yeah, look,
or
just
not.
visually, right? We're going through really hard times, right? And I think
Yeah.
when you see admins and different things, I think it's a normal question from the public, right?
Absolutely, no,
We
absolutely.
just cut a program, we just did this, what are we doing here, right? So just trying to understand.
And it also makes this position a more desirable position for, say, we need a new athletic director down the road. There's more substance to it, and it could get better candidates, essentially, the way it's written now. And it's probably more tailored to what he's actually doing right now, versus what we wanted to be doing. Any other questions on the agenda?
32, I just want to ask Dr. Lamoga, ZR Fitness, that's the special ed, the adaptive fitness, because I keep explaining, because when I went to my first CPAC meeting, it took me a year to get there, but I thought this was like such a great service that.
You said 32?
32? Yeah.
So we used it as community-based instruction.
Oh, Zia, got it, thank you.
Yeah, we use it as community-based instruction, and our students go out to the CR Fitness, and they have a completely, all sensory items, and the kids get to engage in all of these physical activities, motor activities. The reason why it's on the agenda is actually because they changed locations, and they moved. And so we have to obviously insure them, and because of that, we've included it. But yes, the kids are loving it. They're having a great experience, being able to visit it, and actually we're utilizing in just more than just the high school, middle school kids are going and a little younger, so it's great.
Okay. Awesome. And so for the CPAC meetings, you do not need to have a child in our special ed program to attend, right? Community members can come and see what we're doing.
100%,
Okay.
and so do parents of students who have a 504 are also invited, so absolutely.
Okay.
And on 32, I think it's in the same thing. Is that yours as well, the Ocean County College main campus for?
It's just one additional CBI location.
Okay.
We have over 100 CBI
Right,
locations.
I knew this, exactly, yeah.
That our students are utilizing, which is wonderful.
Yep.
So they get exposure to just about everything you could imagine.
Okay, thank you.
Deb, this might be a question for you on item 40 for the withdrawal from capital reserve for the basketball court, or the Indian Hill gym floor, I should say. Where does that leave us if we tap into that as far as reserve balance? I'm not clear on what that balance
Probably
is.
about 1.1 million.
Okay.
And then we have the pending sale, which we'd be able to put something back into that reserve, hopefully. So
1.1 pre or post 225?
post 225. It's at 1.3 right now, so it's about 1.1 after the 225.
Thank
And
you.
again, this reserves our right to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't do it, the money would just fall back in there June 30, right, if we don't do it. But if I don't do this, then the process is more difficult to get the money out later.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joanne. So for the public that hasn't heard, the house out front, right next to the Duncan Smith Theater, that's the Addie Lupkard House. So about 5 years ago, something like that, as part of our 2020 referendum, 2018, oh my gosh, you're dating me now. We purchased that building, and when we went to we've had ongoing discussions with the township, knowing how our budget has been, basically, we originally had a $6.5 million deficit, then it went down to about $5.2 million. So the township, to assist the school district, essentially is buying that house. So last year, or last week, or I think it was last week in the township meeting, they passed a resolution to bond and to sell a house for $1 million. And as Joanne talked about and the BA talked about, is by law, we have to keep a certain amount of money in our reserves. If we don't, the state or the county via the state comes to us and says, okay, Holmdel, you have to get to, what is it, 1 point,
We have to be at 2% of the prior budget year's general fund
which is like
budget.
$1 million
So it's,
something?
I think it's like, we're at 800, we need another 587,000.
Right, so we needed to do that, and the county needed an answer by the end of this month. So some people said, oh, why don't you put the house out for sale and try to get more money, which would be interesting because I'm not sure who's going to buy that house in front of a high school complex. But we had to get something in writing. Otherwise, we were going to have to make essentially more cuts or find more money to get to the state mandated levels, which is obviously not what we want to do because this budget's already a challenge. So I just wanted to mention that. So if you're trying to understand what Joanne Lamb was saying, is now because of the purchase of the house, we will not have to take additional negative actions to the budget. We can use the proceeds that will be on next week's agenda as they're going through the closing of the sale of the house to put into our reserves to bring it to where we need to be. So I don't know, Kyle, if I was spot on?
Yep, the budget that was approved to send to the Executive County Superintendent last week, that was our tentative budget. So during the public hearing, we'll be discussing any changes to that budget, which will include how we appropriate that money.
Yes. So obviously a huge help to us, and who knows what next year's budget's going to bring, but at least this will at least allow us to do what we have to do this year. Only other items I see on the
Pete,
board.
I have a quick question on
Yeah, go.
45. It's about the dental benefits. Deb, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what was the change in the premiums for the dental benefits from last year? Do you know?
It's a composite of 3%, so we have 3 different dental plans. So in composite, based on the census, it's 3%. So
Okay.
it was reasonable, and it's still with the same carrier. And the other.
much more
we-
reasonable than
Yeah,
35.
You'll get a letter, what?
The bar is
Yes,
pretty, the bar is
yes.
pretty low.
There
but-
were 4 carriers that would not provide a quote, and we had one other quote that was higher than our current carrier, so we're staying with the current carrier.
Would they not provide quotes, you think, because of our, like, I don't know if it's the same, like, loss ratio
Some-
kind of
some
thing,
it
I would
either-
imagine?
Either that, or they couldn't meet what our plan was.
Understood,
Right?
okay.
At a reasonable rate, right?
Okay.
So.
So kind of like a CPI increase,
Yeah.
essentially.
The broker did negotiate and got it down because they did want to come in higher, so we're appreciative of that.
Okay.
But you'll have all that information in your packet for the coming meeting.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, and the only other items you'll see, I think there's 5 retirements, and then just a few other resolutions around the budget, things like this. Brings us to central office department updates. So, Ahmed, is that going to be you for CNI or Art?
You doing questions or presenting?
No, we're up to central office
No, I know
department.
last time we started doing, like, if you board members have questions about the updates instead of,
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. If there's anyone that's seen the department updates, any questions that you might have? I didn't see any that was jumping off at. I see none. Move on. Oh, Amanda?
I just want to shout out that on April 30th, we're going to be having our Transition and Wellness Expo at Bellworks. We officially have 67 vendors coming. Incredible. So it's going to be a great time. We encourage families to come out, kids, students, everyone to come, 2 to 5 over at Bellworks in the West Tower. Yes, by the preschool.
You'll see the crowd.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
yeah.
right
That's
there.
Thursday, April
By
30th.
Jersey Freeze, on that area. So, yes, that's next week.
That's east side.
So,
Thursday, April 30th, 2 to 5?
Absolutely.
So this is like, I mean, we've been doing this a few years now, right?
Yeah, since I've
And it's
gotten here.
grown, literally like from 20
Yeah.
some odd vendors to, would you say 67?
And we focused solely on supporting students with intellectual disabilities, but now we've just grown it to the point of looking at wellness and nutrition and health and mental health. So the fact that we've got so many vendors coming, so from agencies supporting students after they age out at 21 to, any mental health supports that you might need or colleges that you're inquiring about. So there's just about everything's going to be there. So it's going to be great.
You said it was from 2 to 5?
2 to 5.
It's not during the day
It's
anymore?
not during the day, so we're encouraging
It's-
more families to come.
It is such an amazing, amazing event. I remember going for the past 2 years, and it puts a big smile on your face.
Yeah,
So everyone
absolutely.
should check it out.
All right. So any other new business that the board might have? Obviously, we'll have a chance
I
to do
have
that
just
next week.
something.
Yeah, go.
Just on behalf of the Board of Ed, today is Administrative Assistance Day.
I was gonna say that,
So we
thank
would
you.
like to share our appreciation to all of our administrative assistants. Your professionalism, dedication, and attention to detail are essential to the effective operation of our schools and our offices, and we are grateful for the important role that you each play every day, and thank you for your continued commitment and service.
Thank you, Kim. I actually was going to do that, so thank you. Only thing I know, next week we'll have our meeting. I just want to give a shout out to the girls softball team. I don't think we have any softball girls here, but I know they were undefeated, and I think I jinxed it because I heard they actually lost today, but 8-0, very, very impressive. I know we've never won a division before, so that banner up in the high school definitely wants to be joined. I know my son was on the baseball team last year, and they hadn't won in 26 years, so it's great to see. And if anyone follows lacrosse, the boys beat CBA, and we never beat. We don't really beat CBA very often, so very, very good stuff. And I know the golf team. Shout out to the golf team. I know my nephew won the county tournament last year, first time ever in Holmdel history. And this year he came in second, so we've never had a kid finish first and second 2 years in a row. So shout out to them. So if there's any other new business we have, because we knew there was going to be a lot of speakers, what I'm going to ask is, if there's a couple for busing, and then the rest are here for dance. So if the busing folks wanted to come up, have their comments, then we could, conclude that piece, and then we'll do the dance afterwards. I think there's about 28 of you fine folks that had signed up, which is awesome. So thank you for coming. And we will ask, just keep it to 3 minutes, and we'll probably, after you guys all speak, then we can have more of a discussion, just so we're not here for a super long time. So if anyone's here to speak about busing, please, please come up to see my friend Matt, and he can help you out.
Good evening. My name's Shari Steinfeld. 6 Malvern Road is my home address. We also own 3 business suites in town, so we have a vested property interest in this town by far. I do have a question about the busing first. So my children attended religious school from kindergarten through 8th grade, and as part of that, we received reimbursement from the town twice annually for not using the town's busing. So my question is, first, is that still going to exist, or are we going to do away with that benefit? Because I now have 2 high school students.
We'll make a note of it, address it at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we can address it now. I think there's only a couple of people who are going to be talking about
Thank
busing,
you.
so I think that's okay. I mean, I think you're talking about aid in lieu for the busing, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
So if we do not offer courtesy busing and you fall in a courtesy busing location, the aid in lieu no longer applies.
But you will still offer aid in lieu if you're outside the
Yes.
courtesy busing?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because that's mandatory transportation by the law, and that's how the code is in New Jersey.
Okay. So my other question is, I believe I've been looking at the different ways in which my rising 10th grader will be able to get to school. We live on Malvern Road. It's Malvern Road, Line Road, Holmdel Road, Crawford's Corner. There are no sidewalks. How is my 10th grader supposed to walk to school?
I mean, hear you, that's probably not a discussion that we will have here. That will be a township discussion on safe passage to the schools. I hear what you're talking about, but yeah, that's a township, that's something that'll be within their domain.
So when is that going to be discussed?
I can't tell you. I know we've been having active conversations with the township and providing, just like as Deb said before, the potential areas where we would potentially suggest they would have a crossing guard. But at the end of the day, that's going to be a township discussion. And when or if they actually put sidewalks in, again, that's a township discussion. So my only recommendation would be attend those meetings and ask those same questions there.
Right. I mean, we can't get town sidewalks put in before.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely a challenge.
Okay.
And the aid in lieu is something that's been around for a long, long time. I think it's
aware.
$1,000, and it's really grossly, the number is just, very, very outdated, you might say. But again, that's a Trenton issue.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to say, I'll let the dance girls speak. I have a senior who's a dancer, and it's very unfortunate that we're considering doing away with this dance program. I'll let the girls speak for themselves, but it's been a wonderful contribution to this community, and I'm very disappointed to hear that the town is considering doing away with it. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Sarah Cho, 4 Putnam Court. I have been on the issue of courtesy busing, a very strong advocate to keep courtesy busing. We have 650 signatures from the community to support saving courtesy busing. And I attended the Township Committee meeting last week and was told that the Board of Ed has never made a formal request to pay for courtesy busing. Now, I'm here today because I'm very confused, because at every board meeting, I've been told to go to the TC, like Board President Reddy just told us, to go ask the Township Committee for help. Well, I keep being volleyed between the Township Committee and this Board of Ed. So I would like to know, what is the actual story? Because here's my understanding of the timeline. Last April 2025, courtesy busing was on the chopping block. Chris Murray, who is a board president, I understand, was able to get courtesy busing from the Township Committee. The Township Committee was able to enter into a shared services agreement, April 2025. Then, in June, the superintendent, Mr. Cascone, has told me that, and everyone, that he has reached out to the Township Committee to ask them for a shared services agreement to potentially use pilot funds to preserve courtesy busing. Apparently, Those conversations did not go anywhere. I understand that there was a formal conversation made between board president, the leaders, right? Board president, not everyone on this board was present for that meeting between the township committee and Mr. Reddy in February of this year. The ask, from what I understand, was that the Board of Ed asked for courtesy busing, and the township committee said no. And that was it. Now, the township committee is telling me that you guys never made that formal request. You're telling me to go to the township committee to go ask for the money. So what is the actual truth? I see a lack of transparency, a lack of accountability. You had 1 full year, and I'm not talking about everyone on this board because many of you were just elected. So I'm talking about former board members who had the responsibility to look into alternative ways if you were being told by the township committee that they were not going to pay. Now we're at the 11th hour, and this seems to be the way this board operates, and it's not the new people. It's Pete, you've told me that you've been on the board for 12 years. So why wasn't this conversation started last year? Now, if you're going to tell me it's the TC's fault, they're going to tell me it's your fault, so I don't really know what to understand. Now we're here. Now you're looking into subscription busing.
Can you wrap it up? Your 3 minutes is up, and I'll comment when you're done. No, you're gonna wrap it up, and then we'll comment.
I'm glad you actually brought that up, because last meeting, you were very, very aggressive with me, and I addressed you in writing.
Okay, it's 3 minutes. Wrap it up.
Okay. I'm gonna
I
speak
get
on
your
this because
point.
this
I
is
know what you've been talking about. So finish, and I will give you our comments. Thank you.
There are hidden safety hazards. You're trying to implement subscription busing as a choice for parents. This is not a choice, because a walk is inherently dangerous, as my person, who just spoke said. There's also, you're expecting children to walk through pathways, maybe not on roads that are already dangerous, but maybe through neighborhoods where a sex offender can reside. That's a hazard. I have a very strong, there's no set understanding of how many crossing guards there are. I understand that you're trying to get that together and you will submit it. So are these crossing guards going to be new employees of the township committee, or are they going to be existing, salaried people who are already going to be employed by, is this going to be an additional cost to the township committee, is my question. Before any subscription busing survey can go out, you have to identify hazardous routes. That's under the NJSA 18A, section 39 to 1.5. We request a formal safety assessment of these paths before you put it out to the public. I calculated the 700 and some odd students who would be potentially impacted.
You got to wrap it up.
750,000 for this courtesy busing. That's about $1,000 per family, and you're telling me that it's not going to be per student, it's going to be, or it's not going to be per family, it's going to be per student. So if I have
Okay, I
one or
think
two
we're done,
children-
Ms. Cho.
No, we're not
Yeah,
done.
we're done.
No, we're not.
You're done. Can you please relinquish the microphone?
Thank you.
Please step back. You've had
Thank
your
you.
3 minutes. I've heard what you said. I will now respond. That's
gonna-
it. You're done. That's it. You had your 3 minutes. You have had 5 minutes.
I will.
No. You're done. That's it. Please sit down.
Continue.
Or
yelling.
leave. It's fine. You're done.
So for everyone in this room who allows that kind of behavior, that is the exact kind of bullying
You're done,
that
Ms. Cho.
happens in
You've made
this
your
district,
comment. Thank you. Let me
that happens in
respond.
this district that I will not stand for.
Okay.
You are a
that's-
person in power.
that's
and
fine.
you are
Can
using.
you please sit down? Your comments are heard and listened to, and I will respond.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Everyone can see
Thank you.
how you behave.
Thank you. Thank you. So just a quick comment on that, Ms. Cho, I will say this. We, as the board leadership, with our board attorney, our superintendent, and I think that was it. We met in February, and if, there's a previous board president in the room, and Allison Lepresti. Every year, when I was board president 3 years ago, we met with the township committee. And it's very interesting, because this year, compared to others, we've never had this budget problem before. So this year, we laid out in February, said, hey, Mayor Improviduto, Deputy Mayor Foster, I think who else was in that room? I know the Township Administrator, the Chief Financial Officer, Michael Collins, their attorney. We laid out the budget at that point where we were, and I think at that point we were about a $5 million deficit. And you're correct. Last year, we got courtesy busing taken care of via, they gave us a grant for $600,000 shared service agreement, which was a big help. It kept courtesy busing for another year. So this year, we said, hey, here's all our problems. How can you help? We said, we have a courtesy busing issue. We said there was a bunch of issues we needed to help with. They came back and said, what if we purchased a Lupkert house? We said, fine, that will work. And obviously, we've worked over that for the last 2 months, and that's where we're at. And that's the help we have been given. We've asked, we would always ask if they want to take care of courtesy busing this year. Absolutely, we would say yes, without a problem. But unfortunately, we don't control that and their decision if they want to. Right now, they've helped us. It's the most they probably helped us, and as long as I've been up on this board, it's $1 million. It's literally going to save us many teachers and many staff by having that done and being able to sell the house. So I'm, for one, grateful, without being kids in the school district, that they're helping us. I can't make them do any more than they want to do. I know people go to the school, the township meeting and ask. That's all we can keep doing, so.
So I just want to say that the current township committee, last year, that Mr. Damari and Ms. Lepresti, that was the first year that they gave us money outside of the safety officers. And that was board leadership from the previous year. As far as this board leadership, we were put into office in January, so we met, and so what happened between then, we can't say, we weren't there, but we were put into office, or into these leadership roles in January, and set up a meeting right away, and spoke to them in February. We put forth 3 different things that we were looking for them to fund and or give us money for, which was courtesy busing, to help with HYAA costs that are up to $500,000 a year, and the Addie Lupkert house. So those 3 things were discussed. What they came back with, and probably because it doesn't raise taxes, and in my opinion, that's just my opinion, to do HYAA or to do courtesy busing, that would have to go out for bond based on what I've heard from the TC public meetings. But the purchase of the Addie Lupkert house is going through open space. It is different procurement, different funds, and it's not an increase in our taxes in order for them to do that. So, we can't, Pete and I cannot speak to anything prior to January because we weren't in leadership. That being said, the prior leadership, they were able to secure that courtesy busing, and that was a feat that had not been done before, either. So these are all positives, just different ways to come through it. So
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, we don't want to get rid of courtesy busing, but if someone said courtesy busing, which is courtesy, which is not something that's not state mandated, or 7, 8 more 9 teachers, I'm going to take courtesy busing every day of the week. And I know, for example, Allison Lepresti and Brittany Manning, they live in proximity. Their kids will be walking to village school next year or finding a different way to get to school unless they do subscription busing and things like this. So don't kid yourself that, 7 of 9 of these board members have kids in these schools, and we all care.
7 of the 9 of us are affected by courtesy busing.
Right.
7
so
of the 9.
They voted to basically not have their kids take a bus. So, if that's not basically, talking with your feet, I'm not sure what is. And again, this doesn't mean courtesy busing can't get reinstituted back down the road. But if the state doesn't ever fix the health care benefit problem and everything else, that the structural deficit that we've had, we've spent, and for you that don't know, the reason why our reserves are so low is the last 2 years, we spent $1 million each year. What? To plug the hole in the budget so that we could keep these programs and not have to reduce staff or programs or whatever else. We literally have no more money in that bucket, and I've been told by the state, get your reserves up back to where they need to be. And, that's what we're going to do with the Addie Lupkert money, because we have to, basically by law. Would that be accurate?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was, not a question, but I'm saying we're putting the reserves in there just because we have to get to the state mandated
It's
levels.
mandated,
So
right.
the fund balance, and I presented on that, and that presentation is still up on the website, that was a concern of mine. And at this point, when we submitted our budget, that was what the county came back with. So this is really a way to get our financials back into a healthy position.
And I want to make a couple comments
Yeah,
here.
please.
I reject the implication that we sat around and did nothing from when we got the shared services agreement through the end of the year. That is an absolute falsehood. We were the most transparent board ever. So that is a false implication, and I take offense to it. Second off, as we've spoken about at a number of meetings, including last year, the crossing guards, the hazardous routes, we've communicated that to the TC. It's not our responsibility. We provided them the information. They do with it what they please. I mean, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. So we will open it up for any of the,
Can I just say one
yeah,
thing?
go, right.
If anyone ever comes to the meetings or watches, I always say, please come to the meetings, share, send us emails, and the engagement tonight is wonderful. I know there's frustration. I know that it's confusing because the way the Board of Education, the laws, and the TC, everything is run, it's not things we deal with every day, right? So there's a whole construct we have to get familiar with to understand the information flowing to us, and this is not an excuse. I'm just saying that it's confusing. Before I got on the board, I do a lot of homework to learn what we do here. So when you come up and speak, please, we understand your frustration. We want to have the dialogue. And so what just happened now was not great. And so we want to hear you. So please, just as we move forward, consider that we're trying to do a great job for you. And so we want to hear what you have to say.
And really quick, actually, one more thing. And I also, it's quite offending to say that this is all the old board members and the new board members are completely innocent in all this, because that's an absolute falsehood. The new board members, this board, as constituted now, voted to cut courtesy busing this year. So everyone is at fault, if you want to call it that. We all cast our vote. So they're not, the new board members aren't innocent.
I just
Thank
want
you.
to comment on that, and it's not a back and forth to anyone in the room, but last year, courtesy busing was handled by the TC, and they put a bond out to do it. And this year, they chose a different form of help, as you mentioned. But, there are people who asked for it last year, and then this year have gone up to TC and said, don't give the new board any money. The inconsistency is pretty glaring if you're paying attention. That makes no sense. What's good to help the school district last year would be the same thing to help the school district this year on the exact same issue. And we didn't even ask for a higher dollar amount because, from the numbers I've heard is either 700 or 750 to cover courtesy busing, which includes late busing. But I think 400 or 450 would only to be covering courtesy busing without the late busing. But I don't know why it would be great for last year and not great for this year. So when we came on in January, and me, Greg, Brittany, we literally came on and there's this pile of debt and we had no other choice. So we took the hard, all of us, 7 out of 9 people 7 out of 9 people are impacted up here, but it was unanimous to cut it, even though we knew we were impacted. There wasn't another choice. It's not, based on what
Exactly.
was
We've been
available,
saying that
there
for a
just
year and a
wasn't
half.
another choice. But,
We've been saying that. This is not a new problem.
But if the TC, if they saw fit to do it last year, and it had merit then, the only thing I would question is why it doesn't have merit now. That's
It has
the only
nothing
thing.
to do with merit, though. Just again, we're two separate bodies. It doesn't matter. They've got to balance their budget, and how they do it, we don't control it. Things change year to year.
They put it out
So
to bond. This is not a
but-
debate with
Right,
you.
we don't
They
have to go
put it
back
out
and
to
forth.
bond last year, and they could put it out to bond again this year if they wanted to, without impacting their budget immediately.
But
So
the
this is not a
implication that
debate.
this is like a strategy.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, wait, hold on. Thank you, sir. Sir, I got you. Thank you. So we'll put a pin on that. I don't disagree with either of you ladies. If the township wanted to fund it, they still can. We're not going to say no to anything. I mean, I know people talk about the Bill Works and they have a pilot and all these other things. I know all those funds were rolled into their regular operating budget. So however they determined to use their operating budget, as Allison said, that's their budget, it's not mine. I said it for years, it's their football. If they don't want to share their football with us, they don't have to. I'd like them to, because obviously I see, first time ever we had a spending freeze, and we have 20-something individuals that were, we had to basically not have a job anymore for. Those are hard times. We've never been where we are now. So, ma'am.
Darlene Bruzy, 34 Windswept Road. I wrote down dance, but I'm switching to courtesy busing, sorry. A couple, I want to say 9 years ago, no, even less, maybe 5 years ago, when McGarry was superintendent, do you remember that? We were in a similar situation with the budget deficit. Sure. We were in a similar situation with a budget deficit. I'm not sure if everybody was here at that point. And he worked with the town to vote on a referendum, and it was a tiny increase in tax. It was like $200 per family. Has that been considered?
So you're talking about the 2020 referendum. That was a 40 point, I was here. Yeah, and I was helped develop it. So $40 million referendum, totally different thing. Back then, if we wanted to, and what we talked about previously, could it be something this board decides to do next year, is go out to a public question to say, do you want to raise the taxes? Do you want to fund courtesy busing? All these specific questions this board over the next 12 months can figure out what they want to do, and then the voters in the town can decide. Because, if people don't understand is, by law, we can only exceed the budget by 2%. Anything further than that would have to be voted by the town. Right. So that's very likely, and we've been, knock on wood, happy we've not had to do that over the years, because financially we've been in a very good position. But the benefits and transportation and utility costs, mostly, has been the reason why we may need to go that route. So,
right.
But yeah.
That's the question I'm saying. Why was it not considered for this year, since we're in that position?
It's too late of the window to do that. There's only a few certain times during the year you're allowed to go out for public question referendum. And unfortunately, based on where we are now and when this budget has to be submitted, there's no time to do that. And you'd also have to have, it takes time, and you also have to, it would have to pass, obviously.
That's my question, Pete. Why was it not done earlier, right? Because you could see the passion, like everybody really, we want to keep the teachers, they're so meaningful to the kids. Obviously, we want to keep the courtesy busing. That was so, it was so important to us through 12th grade to have that bus show up at the door, right? And this is our last year here. So, but I do think that the town really cares about that. You can see that. So I'm just wondering why that wasn't considered this year. Why did we not consider a referendum?
I think we mentioned it in one of the meetings, and I think we said, Kyle, am I right that you can do the referendum
So it was
up to 4
discussed
times a
last
year?
year. So there's 4 times. There's the November election. There's days in December, September, and March. March would have been the closest. In order to get on the second ballot, get a second ballot question on the March special election, you would have had to do it by, I believe it's like January 3rd or 4th. It's very poorly structured for school boards, because it's basically a new school board gets seated, and then that very next week is when you would have to have your question formulated, have it sent to the county clerk's office and whatnot. So in terms of feasible times, you have the September, you can have the November, there's a December, but it's very difficult. And as Pete said, doing it right now is not an option because of the way the law is structured. Doing it last year would have been an option. The board chose not to. There was discussion.
We talked about it last year, but with the newly, we didn't want to force anyone.
Again, it's a very over the November elections and whatnot, and that doesn't match up to way the special elections are scheduled currently.
So it's possible to lose it for 1 year, and then if they vote on this referendum,
Absolutely, 100%.
then to renew it the next
The board can ask the town basically what they would want to do, and I can tell you, I know as of January and February, we were still trying to figure out what our budgets were going to be, because we did not know. Our current insurance provider was trying to raise our rates 60-something%. So we ended up going to a different plan. It was a 30-something%. So just for reference, our budget last year for healthcare benefits, Deb, correct me if I'm wrong, was $15 million. This year it's $19 million. It's $4 million we had to plug a hole with. Before we're talking about transportation, utilities, salary, and everything else it costs to run this district. We had a $4 million bogey problem that we had to deal with immediately. That basically the money wasn't there. So yeah, next year, if I'm still here, I would be very surprised if we don't go out for public question if the budget is challenging it is this year, which, you know.
Can we make the distinction too? Like a referendum is different than a second question.
Yes.
I mean, there's distinction there, and there's pretty significant distinctions. Referendum is just asking for money for projects, and, you know, the
Correct.
$40 million referendum.
And that
Right, to like improve our buildings and make additions and all that stuff, right? But a second question also comes with, like, if it's voted down in the public, like, let's say it's a 40-60 vote, and it's, no, we're not keeping courtesy busing, it's gone from the budget, like,
Right.
forever. It's not like a one-year thing.
Then you're back in this situation.
You're back in the
You're
situation, but
in
you're
a more cut
legally not
situation.
allowed,
Correct.
but you're legally not allowed then
Correct. Mhm.
to reinstate courtesy, where this one time, like, hopefully it's a one-time thing, you can bring it back next year if we have the money, right?
Right.
Where if you put a second question on the ballot and it's voted down, you're forbidden from using the funds to pay for courtesy busing, like, in perpetuity, so it's gone forever.
But can't you word the question so that it's courtesy busing within 2 miles?
But that's what courtesy busing is.
But you're not cutting all of courtesy busing right now. You're only cutting it within 2 miles. So can't you word the question on the
That's what
ballot
courtesy
to be
busing
within
is.
2
That's what
miles?
courtesy
Oh, that's
busing
what courtesy
is.
Okay, can you word
Yep.
the question to be?
Well, yeah, I
within-
mean, all of that is strategically.
So courtesy busing is the discretionary aspect of it. If you're within the 2 miles of the elementary school or 2.5 miles, the board has no obligation to provide busing to those people. Beyond that, there is a statutory obligation to provide it. That's not going away. The board has no discretion to eliminate that. The law requires that a person that lives 3 miles from high school receive a school bus in order to get them to school, if that makes sense. And I pulled up the dates. So the dates for the special elections are either the last Tuesday in September, the second Tuesday in December, the fourth Tuesday in January, or the second Tuesday in March. And this year, to get on the special election question on the second Tuesday in March, you would have had to submit the question to the county by January 9th, 2026. So it's literally the first week that the board
After
is
3
seated.
days after reorganization. I
Exactly.
can tell you when we did the 2020 referendum, we started planning that in 2018. We spent about a year and a half, and you're correct, Dr. McGarry, who used to sit there, he used to walk around with his boards and
He was
everything else.
great, yeah.
And we knew that was a generational switch. So this media center, if you've never been in it, this was a very, very old library. It is not an old library anymore. You know, the STEM area, the engineering, the TV studio, and all the things that came with it. So yeah, we have to be, as Allison said, just very strategic and careful how we word it. So if we do that, that we don't, ride ourselves into a hole or something. So,
Thank you, I
no problem.
appreciate it. I also have a dancer. The dance program was instrumental to her for her high school experience, and I really do want you to hear these kids. It was super meaningful for them. It helped them to get into college. My daughter got the governor's award, so I really hope you'll listen to them. Thank you so much.
Name and address, sir.
Chris Damari, Seven Oaks. Since my name was mentioned indirectly and directly tonight, I felt obligated to speak on the courtesy busing and provide a history lesson for everybody here tonight. And this is nothing new. Everything I'm saying tonight, I vocalized for the last 3 years. Prior, I was a board member. I served in 2023 and as a leader in 24 and 25. When I got on the board in 23, we recognized busing overall for all of our students had cost about $2.8 million for many years, and it skyrocketed to over $5 million coming out of COVID. And for a school district, that's substantial. That's a deficit just in itself that a school district cannot make up. And courtesy busing's been on the block ever since. So this is not a new discussion. This has been ongoing. Township committee is aware. The board is aware. When we considered all options and the legalities of it, we did realize that courtesy busing is not typical for most schools. It's a perk that we have here in Holmdel, which we all enjoy. It affects my family as well. But unfortunately, in the end, it's really all of us, the parents' responsibility to get our kids to school. It's not the schools, and it's actually not the towns. What I do suggest is if your child's in an area where they are going to be walking or biking and there are hazards, contact the township committee, because that would put pressure on them to get crossing guards and sidewalks and things of that nature. In terms of the tough decisions that the board is facing, this is no fault of the board or administration. With costs skyrocketing like this, key is the health insurance for the teachers is unsustainable. For anybody who pays attention to the public schools, this is a financial crisis that did just not start tonight. This has been going on Since I was on the board for a few years, I followed it very closely. I became very passionate about it. I still am. I vocalized this stuff. We all did as a board. Schools are in a financial crisis. Getting to last year, Ms. Lamb had made the comment that I had pushed for courtesy bus and then went to township meetings this year and told them not to give the schools any money. Well, I provided a reason why I said that. When we spoke to the township committee last year, which we vocalized and provided transparency to our community about how every one of those conversations went, we were in the middle of a teacher's negotiation, and we had asked the school for some money for 1 year to get us, we wanted to, when we originally saw the financial crisis going on in 2023, we spoke about the only way out of this is a major, major cut, layoffs, teachers, because 80% of our school budget is teachers' salaries, benefits, and payroll. I absolutely love our teachers. We've got phenomenal teachers here. And we all looked around and said, what can we do to keep as many teachers as possible? And we did our best to get a carryover. But with 80% of the budget being the teachers' labor agreement, we were locked in a contract. So when I joined the board in 23, the labor agreement was signed in 2022, which locked us in for 3 years. So when you look at board members every year go through these budgets, they can only control 20% of the budget. 80% of the budget's locked into a contract. So anybody who campaigns that they're going to fix the budget, they can't. All these little minutiae stuff of saving 10,000 here, 5,000 there is going to drop in the bucket, okay? So when we spoke to the township committee, we had a good faith feeling that our union leaders would acknowledge the financial crisis going on and have a willingness to be flexible on the scheduling. Only in recent years, about 6 or 7 years, the scheduling had changed pretty radically in Holmdel. Typically for a New Jersey school district, teachers have one prep period, they call them professional development prep periods, out of the classroom, and a lunch. Well, in Holmdel, they were able to negotiate 2 periods out of the classroom and a lunch. Now, there can really be a
Chris, you got
debate
20 seconds.
about the value, okay? But it really put us in a hole, and that was clear by our past administration team who showed us that. We vocalized that, and we said we can't afford this, and that had compounded. And then with the benefits going up the way it has, it really has brought pressure to our community. So now we're in this situation where, unfortunately, there's a lot bigger deficit and a lot more at stake this year. And it is tough to cut courtesy busing, but it's a much different year than last year. And the reality is I personally don't think that we were able to save the taxpayer in this new agreement. We had considered having to possibly...
Chris, can you wrap it up? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cho. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, dance folks, I guess we're sort of up to you guys. I think there's approximately about 28 of you all, so please come to the microphone, name and address, and please give me your comments. Or, sorry, your comments.
So my name is Lila Bruzzi. I live at 34 Windswept Road, and I'm a senior at Holmdel High School, and I am also the president of the National Honor Society for Dance Arts. I've spent most of my life dancing, but when I found in 7th grade through Miss Minuccia's program wasn't just dance, it was a community. And during a time when many of us felt isolated, and when half of us were learning through screens, where else were we supposed to find that connection? Where were we supposed to feel seen? Dance class became one of the only places where we could build real relationships with people we never thought we'd even speak to. We didn't just learn, we bonded. And those are still people that I connect with today. This program followed us through middle school into high school, and I feel incredibly lucky to have grown up with it. As an underclassman, I joined NHSDA, and now I'm the president, and I stepped into that role because I wanted to give back to something that gave me so much. Last year, something very difficult for me happened, and my dance studio, the place that I trained at for years, fell apart, and suddenly I didn't have access to the dance the way I always had. So what happens when the only thing that grounds you is taken away? For me, the only place that I had left was this program at school. It wasn't just an activity anymore. It was the only space I could still do what I love. Our school places such a strong emphasis on STEM, robotics, and mathematics, and I understand how important those are. But what about the students who don't thrive sitting in a classroom all day? And what about the students who need movement, creativity, and expression? Why is there such little space in the arts in a place that's supposed to support all kinds of learners? It doesn't make sense to invest in the dance studio with mirrors and a spring floor and then remove the very program that uses it. What is that space without the students in it? without the movement, the creativity, and the purpose. To me, this isn't just about a room. It's about whether students are truly being given access to the full range of opportunities that the school can offer. Not every school has a dance program in Monmouth County, and I know students that would do anything for opportunities like this, but instead they're pushed into activities that don't reflect who they are or what they're passionate about. And the reality is, dance is expensive. Not every family can afford studio classes multiple times a week, so without programs like this, where do those students go? This program gives everyone a place, whether you were experienced in the dance arts or just starting, and Miss Minucci is the reason for that. She's more than just a teacher, she's a mentor, and what my mom just stated, she gave me the opportunity to win the Governor's Award for Dance Arts, and she believed in me and gave me opportunities that I didn't know could happen or that I didn't know that I could believe in myself. And I'm not the only one that feels this way. I understand the budget cuts and difficult decisions have to be made, but I'm asking you just to reconsider this one, because this isn't just about a program, it's about a community. Look around the room. How many people here tonight are in support of the program? And I'm not standing here alone. I'm here alongside so many others because this program truly matters. So I'll leave you to this. What are we really taking away when we remove a program like this? She has changed so many lives, including mine, and I don't know if this will change the outcome, but I needed you guys to hear just how much this program and Miss Minucci means to me, to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Emily Weiner, and I live at 34 Loudwood Drive. I'm lucky to be surrounded by a handful of peers who are in the same position as I am. I'm a sophomore at Holmdel High School and a member of the varsity dance team. I've been dancing since I was 2 years old. Dance is not just an after-school activity, it is an academic and artistic discipline that plays an important role in students' education and personal development. It has built our confidence, given us a way to express ourselves, and created a place where we truly belong. Despite this, the dance program is often overlooked, even though it requires dedication, focus, and continuous growth. Dancers spend hours learning technique, developing creativity, and performing at high levels. These classes reach discipline, collaboration, and self-expression, skills that are valuable far beyond the classroom. Yet our program is often minimized or at risk of being cut. For students like us, dance is just as important as any other academic program offered at our school. Our program also supports NHSDA, the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, which recognizes students for their commitment, leadership, and achievement in dance. It provides opportunities for leadership, service, and growth that extend beyond the classroom. If this program is taken away, what happens to the opportunities that the dance program and NHSDA provide, like leadership roles and performance experiences? What happens to the Honor Society that recognizes dancers for their commitment and achievements? Does it simply just disappear? And as a student like me, with 2 full years left at this high school, what does that mean for me and future students? I've been a part of the dance program since I was in 7th grade. Being a part of this program has felt like a family. We support each other, push each other to grow, and celebrate each other's successes. It is where we are able to connect with one another, feel understood, and engage in a meaningful educational experience that cannot be replaced. Cutting this program would not just remove an elective, it would take away a community and opportunities that shape students' futures. Dance deserves to be recognized, valued, and protected just like any other academic program in this school. This is the impact Miss Minucci has. She is one person, but what she does reaches far beyond the classroom. Through Intro to Dance, Dance 1, Dance 2, Honors Dance 3, Team Unify, NHSDA, and the Holmdel Theater Guild, she creates a space where students feel included, connected, and valued. These experiences also teach us real-world skills like creative thinking, empathy, and problem-solving skills that prepare us for college and future careers. Colleges and employers are not just looking for test scores, They are looking for well-rounded individuals who can collaborate, think critically, and understand others. Ms. Minucci is not just a teacher. She's a mentor and someone we can look up to. I urge you to reconsider this decision, not just for me, but for every current and future student who relies on this program for growth, connection, and opportunity. Dance is not replaceable. It is an essential. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, students, and parents, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Can I stop you? Can you just say your name and address, just so the board administrator doesn't yell at us?
Hello, my name is Samantha Vitolo, and I live at 6 Twin Terrace. I'm currently a sophomore at Holmdel High School. I've been dancing competitively since I was 2.5 years old, and I'm also a member of Holmdel's varsity dance team. For myself, dance has always been a huge part of my life, but it became even more important after I experienced catastrophic injury. Overnight, I suddenly developed nerve damage from my right knee down and later had arthroscopic knee surgery to remove a synovial plica, a condition caused by constant overuse of the joints. I still have no feeling and no ability at all to move my foot, and I rely on ankle-foot orthotics and forearm crutches for daily function. Today marks 468 days since my injury. That means 468 days without dance. I attend physical therapy on a strict regimen, see neurologists, and go to occupational therapy so I can hopefully get my driving permit, along with so much more. This is no longer an injury, it is now my disability. There was a time where I truly didn't know if I'd be able to dance again, and sometimes I still have that fear. Something that had been a part of my life for as long as I can remember suddenly felt like it was gone. That loss wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It affected my mental health, my identity, and my outlook on everything. Coming back from this is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. The thought of dancing again felt physically and emotionally impossible. I'd started to accept that I might only be watching dance instead of being a part of it. But Miss Minuccia, she made it possible. She didn't look at me and see limitations when I was placed in her Dance 1 class. She didn't give up on me or treat me like I had to sit in the side. Instead, she took the time to adapt and modify choreography so I could be included, not only in class, but the winter concert. She put effort, patience, and care to make sure I could still do what I love, even if it looked different than before. She checked in with me constantly, adjusted movements when needed, and made sure I never felt left out during rehearsals or classwork. Now that's what the dance program is about. Because of her, I was able to dance again. Even if that dancing meant using only my upper body, being back underneath those stage lights meant more than I can fully explain. It gave me a piece of myself back that I thought I lost forever. It gave me my confidence and happiness again. And it didn't just impact me, it impacted my family too. Seeing me dance again after everything I'm going through made my mom incredibly happy. It brought a kind of relief and joy that's hard to put into words. I also personally attended the Board of Ed meeting last year about outsourcing paraprofessionals. Although I did not speak, listening to others share their stories was incredibly inspiring. And it showed me how powerful it is to share your story, no matter the size of your voice. At that time, I didn't realize how soon I'd be standing here speaking about something that directly affects me, but now I do. And I know I'm not the only student who has been impacted by this program. The students, parents, dancers, and teachers here tonight are living proof of why it must continue. So I need to ask you all, if you remove educators like Ms. Minuccia, how will students like me continue access dance in a meaningful and inclusive way? How are students like me expected to stay included in programs like dance without educators like Ms. Minuccia, who make that inclusion possible in the first place? What message does this send to students who are already fighting to feel included? That their access to programs can be taken away? And how can you justify taking away a program and a teacher that is actively changing students' lives, not just academically, but emotionally and mentally? Laying her off would mean losing opportunity, support, and a safe place for students like us. I urge you to reconsider this decision and think about the real students behind it, not just numbers on a budget. Because for students like me, this is not just a class, it is access, inclusion, and the ability to keep going. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Ms. Minuccia, for everything you've done for me and all the students in the program. You didn't just teach dance, you gave me back a part of my life.
Thank you, Sam.
Tough act to follow. Thanks, Sammy. My name's Ken Castellano. I live at 31 Sweetbriar Lane. I'm a parent of two daughters, Avery, a junior, and Ella, a sophomore, both of whom are competitive dancers, both of whom are a big part of Holmdel High School's dance program. Before I go too much further, I want to share a story with the room. There was a little girl way back in the 1930s in England. She was 8 years old, and she was, by all accounts, a problem. She couldn't sit still. She was always fidgeting. Her homework was late. She was disturbing other students in class. Her school wrote to her parents, and they said, "We think your daughter has a learning disability." Her mother, at her wit's end, took her to see a specialist. They sat her in an oak-paneled office, and for 25 minutes, the doctor listened to everything the mother had to say about all the ways her daughter was failing. Then he turned to the little girl and said, I need you to leave the room. I want to speak to your mother in private. But before she left, he turned on the radio. At that moment, the girl was up on her feet, moving to the music. She couldn't help it. The doctor watched for a few minutes through the window, and then he turned to the mother, and he said words that changed everything. He said, Mrs. Lynn, your daughter isn't sick. She doesn't have a learning disorder. She's a dancer. Take her to dance school. So she did. And that same little girl, Jillian Lynn, went on to choreograph Cats and Phantom of the Opera. She gave joy to hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, made millions of dollars, and became one of the most celebrated artists of the 20th century. Somebody else might have put her on medication and told her to calm down. Sir Ken Robinson told that story in what was once the most watched TED Talk in history. And his point was simple but also devastating. Our schools, when they strip away the arts, don't just lose a budget line, they lose children. Now, I'm not standing here tonight to be dramatic. Most of you probably don't know me. I've never been to a Board of Ed meeting. I'm standing here because I have two daughters who need you to understand what dance means to them and what it means to this school. Avery and Ella don't dance because it's easy. They train for hours. They compete. They fall. And then they get back up. Dance has taught them discipline that shows up in their classroom every day. It has taught them to collaborate, to perform under pressure, to meet deadlines, to set goals. These are not art skills. These are life skills. But here's what I want you to really hear. For some of the kids in this building tonight, many kids you may not know who are struggling, the dance program is the reason they come to school. It is their Jillian Lynn moment. It is the place where they finally feel like they belong, where they discover that they too are people who have to move to think. And how many other students in this school system don't even realize all the amazing benefits that this dance program could be offering? If you choose to close this program down, you will save money. You will save dollars. But you will cost some of these kids something that no spreadsheet will capture. Don't cut the dance program. Embrace it. Nurture it and grow it. I understand budgets are real. I work as a chief commercial officer for a multinational company based in Australia, and I deal with budgets daily. But I ask you, before you make this decision, ask yourselves, what is this school for? Is it only for the students who thrive in a classroom, who sit still, who test well? Then yes, if that's it, cut the arts, cut the dance program. But if this school is for every child in Holmdel, then we cannot afford to let this program go. I'll wrap up. Ken Robinson ended his talk, and I encourage you guys to watch it. And I think about the last line he said quite often. He said, our job is to educate our children's whole being so they can face the future, not just their minds, their whole being. Avery and Ella are becoming their whole selves, and I suspect many of the students behind me are as well, in part because of this dance program. And I'm asking you, the board, to help protect that opportunity for them and every student that comes after them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophia Bilella, and I live at 4 Olds Mill Road. Mrs. Minuccia and the Holmdel Dance Program has taught me far more than technique and movement. They've given me values and lessons that define what it truly means to be a dancer. Dance was the class I could rely on to get me through even the longest days. I could only sit down at a desk and listen to teachers lecture for so long, but dance gave me the opportunity not only to learn, but express myself in a way that wasn't raising my hand, hoping to answer a question correctly. The idea of creative freedom was one you don't often learn in a classroom. In most settings, you're taught to follow instructions and meet expectations. Dance challenged that. I learned how to make choices and express myself in ways that didn't have a single right answer. When I think back on my years performing at the annual dance concert, one interaction stands out above the rest. The night of the dance concert this year also happened to fall on the same night as the Holmdel boys varsity basketball game against RFH. I was in the commons when a woman approached me, asking where the bathroom was. As I pointed her in the direction, she couldn't help but take notice of the dance concert banner that was hanging up and the black ballet tutu I had on, ready to perform. She started to ask me questions on what the concert was and if it was something that was run through the school. As I shared more details about the program, she told me that she grew up a dancer, and she was beyond impressed by this opportunity, as ones like this are not offered at RFH. It opened my eyes to the diversity within Holmdel and the unique qualities that truly set us apart from other schools in Monmouth County. Now being a senior, I can without a doubt say that taking dance was a highlight of both my SATs and high school experience. I would love for younger students to have this opportunity, as it teaches you far more than most would imagine. The dance program may be small, but the passion within it is enormous, and that's why it's so meaningful to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aliana Mirabales. I live at 1 Tycor Row in Holmdel, New Jersey. Not only am I a dedicated student, but a dancer who is devoted to their craft. I am here tonight to speak about something that means so much to me and so many of my other friends, our school's dance program and our dance teacher, Mrs. Minuccia. For me and many other students, the dance program has built a space where confidence is built, friendships are learned, and creativity is encouraged in a way that fewer classes can offer. I have experienced firsthand how students talk about their other classes. You hear complaints about computer technology classes and other requirements all the time, but never about dance. No one dreads walking into that room. Instead, students look forward to it. That says something. It shows that this program is not only valuable, but is genuinely impactful to students' daily lives. Dance also keeps students active throughout the school day. In a time where increasingly focused on mental health and other wellness, movement matters. Dance gives students a chance to reset their bodies and reset their minds and come back to their academic classes more focused and energized. It's not separate from education, but it supports it. Beyond that, the performing arts is a huge part of what makes Holmdel High School so unique. In schools where we have extremely educated students, where they have opportunities to go to magnet and STEM schools, they stay at schools like Holmdel High School because of what our performing arts programs have to offer. This shows that we offer we value a well-rounded education that not only includes learning, but creativity, self-expression, and the arts, not just academic and technical skills. Taking away that doesn't make our school any stronger. It makes us less diverse and less engaging. Did you know that 2% of people that can dance competitively during their youth years 2% go to dance professionally, but over 70% of those students go to be leaders in their field of work. And none of this would be possible without Mrs. Minuccia. She is more than just a teacher. She provides opportunities for kids with special needs through Team Unify. She creates a classroom environment where every student feels supported regardless of their skill level. She pushes us to grow not only as dancers, but as people. Losing her would mean losing a cornerstone of this program and the positive impact she has on so many students. Cutting this dance program is not just removing a class from the schedule. It is taking away an outlet, a passion, and a community. It is taking away something that students truly care about and truly benefit from every single day. I urge you to reconsider what is being taken away from the school, not just on the schedule, but on the students involved. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ella Castellano. I live on 31 Sweetbriar Lane, and I'm here today as a student whose life has been genuinely shaped by the dance program and by Miss Minuccia. Cutting dance and the NHSDA might look like a budget decision on paper, but to us it's the loss of space where we grow, lead, and feel supported. This isn't just an elective. It's time away from screens, a place where we connect, build real relationships, and develop confidence and creativity. For some students, this isn't extra, it's essential. Miss Minuccia is not just a teacher. She shows up for us in ways that go far beyond this classroom. This past summer, she helped my sister and I create a dance program to give back to our community. We taught young, underserved campers through Cattery Day Camp at Collier Youth Services, using everything we learned in Dance 1 and 2.
Watching those kids gain confidence and find their voice through movement was something truly inspiring to see. That's leadership. That's a community impact. Isn't that living Holmdel blue? Well, that's exactly what you would be cutting. Not every student learns the same way. Some of us need to move to think, to focus, and to stay mentally balanced. Movement isn't just physical. It also helps regulate stress, improve focus, and support how we actually learn. If we know that, why aren't we encouraging it more? You don't lose potential because it's not there. You lose it because it's not supported. It's hard for me to understand why programs that help students grow, stay engaged, and support their mental and social well-beings are the ones being removed as opposed to encouraged. It sends the message that the arts and the students who depend on them are not a priority. What we choose to cut shows what we choose to value. Holmdel has always been a leader. We set the example. So why come this far just to move backwards? I understand budgets are complicated, but this decision has real consequences. You're not just cutting a class. You're removing opportunities, mentorship, and a program that has changed students' lives. This program is part of what makes our district stand out. It's what brings people here. After investing in a dedicated dance studio, building a program from middle school through high school, and creating real opportunities for students, why would we eliminate something that is already working? I can't help but think that maybe if dance was promoted more, students would be more encouraged to take it because of its incredible benefits. Dance isn't just for dancers. It's for anyone willing to grow and discover confidence beyond paper and screens. Once a program like this is gone, it's likely to never come back. So no, you're not just deciding on a program. You're deciding what kinds of students get to succeed. The arts do not distract from achievement. They awaken the parts of students that make achievement possible. When we remove spaces where students feel alive, we should not be surprised when they become disengaged elsewhere. A budget reflects numbers. A school reflects values. So I'm asking you to reconsider what's being lost here, not just for me, but for every student who comes after me and deserves the same opportunities we've had. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. My name is Olivia Bachman. I live at 36 Ladwood Drive, and I am currently a sophomore at Holmdel High School. Recently, I heard that the school is making cuts to certain programs and activities at Holmdel due to financial needs, which leads us all here today as the dance program is being cut along with Mrs. Minuccia. While I am a competitive dancer outside of school and a member of the dance team here at Holmdel, I am not a part of Dance Honor Society. So you may be wondering why I'm speaking up when I'm not a member. I am here today as a representative of the Holmdel Theater Guild, as Mrs. Minuccia's departure affects so much more than just the dance program. The Holmdel Theater Guild gets to put on 2 main stage productions each year, one of them including the Winter Musical. I've been extremely fortunate to have been a part of the past 2 musical productions, which were Curtains and Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, with Mrs. Minuccia as our choreographer. Throughout the year she has been involved with the musical, she has single-handedly choreographed and composed all the dances. I can't help but wonder what the Holmdel Theater Guild will do in the next few years with her absence. Mrs. Minuccia's brilliance and presence is essential to not only the productions HTG puts on, but the theater community as a whole. As dance is a huge part of any musical production, whether it's an ecstatic dance number with everyone or just 2 leads waltzing to their song. I truly can't help but fear as to what we are expected to do next year without the knowledge, love, support, and experience Miss Minuccia brings to each dance rehearsal and the production as a whole. She truly has a way of making everyone on the Holmdel High School stage a shining star when we dance. Theater requires all cohesive elements to come together to be successful. Without Miss Minuccia bringing expertise in dancing, the Holmdel Theater Guild is at a loss for its future productions. This year, I was dance captain for Cinderella, along with one of my other castmates, Sophia. I'm very lucky to have been doing dance for so long outside of school and have quite the advanced knowledge on the art form. Yet, some of my castmates rely on Miss Minuccia's instruction as their knowledge in dance. Even with solely having instruction from Miss Minuccia in school, Holmdel students and the school were acknowledged for their excellence in dance. Earlier this year, the Holmdel Theater Guild attended the New Jersey Thespian Festival, where 5 students, Julia Mooney, Emerson Granada, Sophia Primiano, Brian Zhang, and I, were selected to participate in an elite summer workshop in New York City. This selection process was based on multiple Broadway dance workshops and auditions. While Sophia and I studied dance outside of school, my 3 friends gained their experience from in-school experiences. Their success that the school celebrated in an email from our superintendent directly stemmed from Miss Minuccia's dedication and excellence. I just want to leave you all with an understanding that eliminating the dance program does not only affect the young women in the dance program, but the other young aspiring individuals who cherish the arts and fear for its future at Holmdel High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Livy.
Hi, my name is Emerson Granada. I'm a sophomore here at Holmdel High School, and I've been taking Mrs. Minuccia's dance classes since middle school, also partaking in the school musicals, which we are so lucky to have Mrs. Minuccia to choreograph. When choosing my 2026 to 27 classes with my outside of school college counselor, I asked her, let me know if you think this is crazy, but what if I took Dance 2 and Honors Dance 3 back to back, receiving the honors credit and gaining the skills needed for me to impress a college board for auditions? My counselor, an obviously academically angled woman, told me to just go for it as she knows I'm serious about studying musical theater fine arts in college. Imagine how I felt when the news was broken to me that Holmdel would be getting rid of our dance program entirely. As a person who doesn't have the time to spend hours at an outside of school studio weekly, this limits me to be on my own for learning the skills I thought I was promised when choosing to attend Holmdel for its advanced arts opportunities. When choosing a high school to attend, I was promised by my teachers that my best choice was Holmdel for its incredible theater, choral, and dance programs. After experiencing firsthand the erasure of the dance program, I know I'm not alone in fearing what will happen to all of the arts programs, all of the incredible teachers who have truly made a difference in our lives by teaching us not only the skills to perform, but to find our own identities in this world and to become the people that make everyone in our community feel like they belong. Dance is more than leaps and turns. It's a creative outlet to learn how to be a functioning unit of a team. Chorus is more than high notes and rhythms. It's learning to use your voice to be the change you want to see in this world. And theater is more than just scenes and monologues. It's experiencing and analyzing events to put yourself in the shoes of a person you may not have understood otherwise. Taking away one of these programs impacts them all, and all of those who have made them their entire world, like me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Julia Mooney, and I am a junior at Holmdel High School. My address is 8 East Parkway Place. I'm a proud board member of the Holmdel Theater Guild, president of Treble Choir, elected member of Student Council, newly elected secretary of the Italian Honor Society, International Honor Thespian in the Thespian Honor Society, member of NHS, and I'm a proud member of the Tri-M Music Honor Society. I'm going to begin with a question that I hope gets a clear answer. Is the Holmdel district cutting the dance program? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, which I have heard is, I would expect specific and immediate action, not vague assurances. I've only heard this information from friends who are enrolled in dance for the upcoming school year. Will you formally pursue a partnership with RBR or GPAA so Holmdel students can continue dancing at a higher level? Will you guarantee transportation so that the opportunity is not limited to only those who can afford it? Will you make sure that current students who don't have the opportunity to dance after school maintain their role in the Dance Honor Society because of a decision they had no control over? Will rising freshmen still be able to have a dance or a musical theater-focused path as said in the student handbook? If you cannot answer these questions tonight, then this decision is not fully thought out, and students are the ones paying the price. I chose Holmdel because of its arts program. I turned down schools, including RBC and others in New York, because of the phrase I heard a million times. Why go somewhere else when we have it all here? Why such an abrupt change? Are you willing to pay for transportation to send a student to a performing arts school that's over half an hour away? Because Holmdel has sent plenty of kids off to other schools, including Mast, High-Tech, Allied, Biotech, and Communications. Are you willing to give students who are passionate about the arts the same opportunity? Eliminating this program isn't just a change, but a broken commitment. Additionally, dance is one of the only adapted movement classes available to students with special needs. My twin brother James is one of those students. Dance is the place where he expresses himself, where he finds stability. Taking that away isn't a scheduling adjustment. It is taking away a support system that can only be found for lots of students like him within that room and environment. His mood, movement, and even speech have improved after taking dance classes at Holmdel High School. So let me be very clear. This decision removes opportunity, harms inclusion, and breaks trust with students and families. What are you going to do specifically and immediately to fix that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Owen Beelan. I live on 2 Indian Creek Road. I'm a junior and have been taking choir for 3 years now and have been involved in every HCG show. Today, I will be reading a poem titled First They Came, which depicts author Pastor Martin Niemeyer's experience as a bystander to the Holocaust. First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. This poem is a warning to speak out for others. I might not be part of the dance program, but after the dance gets cut, what will be next? Choir? Even art? We, the students in the art organization, understand the idea of the poem and why it is important that we stand up for the arts, expressing our worries, thoughts, and feelings on the matter through conversation and peaceful protest. Today, you will hear those worries, thoughts, and feelings, and we hope that you will see how the arts affect every student, not just the ones in dance, and how cutting funding is not the correct course of action. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lilea D. Phillips, and this is my daughter, Sienna, who's an 8th grader at SATS. We live at 2 Beverly Drive. President Reddy, thank you for your responses to my email. I would just want to take this opportunity to address the board in person on the subject of the tentative 2026-27 budget and read some of our previous correspondence into the record. As a career arts administrator with over 30 years' experience, I'm used to the arts being disproportionately targeted when times are lean. So I'm here today to urge you to protect visual and performing arts education in Holmdel schools, including the dance program. Arts education is a critical component of a quality education and should be treated as essential, as many have said before this. Study after study shows that arts education fosters critical thinking, problem solving, and improved academic outcomes. Furthermore, arts programs are vital for supporting students' social, emotional development, wellness, and mental health. These are crucial areas for re-engaging students after the pandemic-related disruptions they endured. Dance, in particular, has unique applications in therapeutic and inclusive settings for all students, including those with special needs. While I understand from Dr. Cascone that the staffing cuts proposed reach far and wide, Ms. Minuccia's termination would make dance the one course of study that would be totally eliminated from the curriculum. Losing an entire dance discipline is not something that should be done lightly and is worth reflecting on as a school community before taking further action. In addition to the students enrolled in dance courses, Ms. Minuccia contributes greatly to the musical theater program at SATS and the high school and has had a positive impact on so many of those students, as we've heard tonight. I wanted to give Sienna the opportunity to speak to her personal experience.
Ms. Minuccia was always patient with us, and her notes on the shows were honest but also kind. She worked on more than just dance. She did blocking, gave us notes on our rehearsals, and overall helped with everything. Our winter musical will not be the same without her. After seeing her choreography of Cinderella and how it took the show to the next level, many of my friends who perform in the school shows and I were looking forward to getting to work with Ms. Minuccia further in the high school shows. Also, many of my friends chose to attend Holmdel High School because of how great the musical and the dance program is, and how excited they were for these performance opportunities.
We appreciate how difficult the process of creating this budget has been to date for all involved, but I was told it was not too late to be heard. Reconsider eliminating dance and instead reinvest in all Holmdel arts. Thank you for your time.
My name is Neo Lin. I live at 9 Oakcrest Court. I'm a junior at Holmdel High School. I'm going to be reading a speech on behalf of one of our friends who unfortunately can't be here in person tonight, and this is all written by her and in her perspective. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sofia Premiano, and I live at 3 Hidden Pond Lane. I am a current junior, co-vice president of the Holmdel Theater Guild, and a member of the Italian Honor Society and Treble Choir. My introduction to Holmdel's dance program began at SATS, where I marveled at the gorgeous dance studio that our school is lucky to have. I thought to myself what a great opportunity it was to strengthen my skills outside of my dance studio. My friends and I thought of how lucky we were to be in a school district where the arts were a key component to the school's overall education, and how lucky we were to get to choose a path that was entirely our own. Without performing arts classes, we would not have that chance. In general, I was amazed at the quality of the arts-related activities that the district had to offer, considering we are not a performing arts school. Many public schools do not have this type of programming for the arts, which I came to realize is part of what makes Holmdel so unique. Once I got to high school and became more involved in the Holmdel Theater Guild, I was given the opportunity my sophomore year to serve as one of the dance captains for the winter musical. That was the first official leadership role I can say I had. Before then, I had never taken on a leadership role because I felt too out of my element and uncomfortable. I was, however, comfortable with performing. Being a dance captain allowed me to bridge that gap and be a leader in a field I was already comfortable with. It became the perfect opportunity to overcome my hesitation, learn valuable skills, and gain wonderful experience working alongside recent graduate Rocco Impreveduto last year and current sophomore Olivia Bachman this year. It is something I would not trade for the world. Between my role as dance captain and serving as co-vice president, the performing arts is the sole thing that has given me the chance to form leadership skills that I will carry with me forever. And I guarantee there are other proud board members or officers of other arts organizations here that can relate. Now, the optimism that I originally carried in SATS is hindering. I understand that decisions such as these are difficult to make, although I am holding out hope that future decisions are ones that will not take away the arts opportunities that we have been fortunate enough to have as Holmdel students. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. My name is Samantha Ayers. I'm currently a senior at Holmdel High School, and my address is 19 Alpine Road. I am the current president of Holmdel Theater Guild, as well as the social media manager for Music Honor Society and the Soprano 1 section leader for Treble Choir, a 4-year member of choir, a member of the Zen Club, and a former softball athlete during my freshman year of high school. When people think of dance, typically the first thing that comes to mind is emotion and gracefulness and wellness. I'd like to point out something else, which is data and statistics. Let's take an example from the National Arts Data Project, who conducted a study of how students behaved when they had access to a dance class. When offered, we see roughly 14% of a school students participate. Now, this may not seem like a lot of students when we take the average number of high school students, which is roughly 750 to 850. But look at how many students that comes out to, which is about 105 to 119. After reviewing the Board of Ed meeting recorded on March 25th, 2026, I would like to use a quote said by Dr. Cascone. We know that if our students aren't in a good mindset, a good social and emotional state, they can't be at their best, and they certainly can't learn. Roughly 98% of dancers report emotional relief and mood improvements, which was recorded by the UCLA Health. What are the alternatives to this relief? Students aren't able to miss their classes simply because they claim they are not in a good emotional state. By keeping the dance program, we are allowing students an escape without missing responsibilities. Village Elementary School and Indian Hill School do not offer a dance program. A Holmdel student's exposure to dance starts in SATS. But if we take that away, what then? These students can lose opportunities they never even knew they had. Roughly only 15% of high schools offer a formal dance program, which puts us above and beyond other schools. Dance isn't just a movement, it's education. Students in the dance program learn perseverance through hours of practice, teamwork through group choreography, and responsibility by committing to rehearsals and performances. These are the same life skills we strive to teach in every classroom, just in a different form, and for some students, it's the form that finally clicks. I'm going to go a little off my script here. If you asked me when I was a freshman if I would come up here and say a speech, I'd tell you absolutely not. I was terrified of getting onto a stage. But after working with Ms. Minuccia and her teaching me how to be on a stage and be present, I finally learned how to speak for myself, and I learned that I do have a voice. This taught me so much more than just leaping, even though I really can't do that. So I urge you to consider not only the numbers and statistics, but the students behind them, the ones who find confidence, belonging, and joy through dance. Thank you for your time and consideration.
How are you guys? My name's Donald Aquilano. I live at 200 Crepe Myrtle Drive. So I came here tonight. My daughter does theater and dance. So since 2003, Holmdel has had a decrease of roughly 22% of students' enrollment. And we lose students to STEM schools because they offer better programs in science, robotics. Now cutting the dance program, how many students do we expect to lose to performing arts schools since we're no longer going to offer it? The dance program is crucial to performing arts. My daughter, who performs in theater and dance, suffered a major car accident last October. She just recently went under back surgery, and Miss Minucci was able to modify things so she could still perform in the theater and dance. If you have gone to any one of these theater productions, you would see these kids are awarded and decorated from multiple agencies in regards to their performances. And that is something Holmdel will lose if we start cutting parts of the performing art programs. I know we have a deficit in finance, and no matter how much we try, we just can't fix that. But we need to find another way. This will cause Holmdel to lose more students. And I'd like to end this with just a statement that's right on the wall behind you. It says, "We are Holmdel." That was something they could be proud of for years, and it's not anymore if you start taking away all their beloved programs.
My name is Jesse Burden, and I live at 15 Yellowbrook Road. I'm a freshman at Holmdel High School. This was a little bit of a spur-of-the-moment speech, but I was listening to everyone else talk about the dance program, and I feel like I have another point to contribute. I'm actually not involved in the dance program itself, but I'm very much involved in the arts through the symphonic band, pep band, and jazz band. And I'm here, like a lot of other people today, because we're worried about losing these programs. Someone brought up today that this school puts a lot into the STEM programs, and I actually see that firsthand. I'm involved in the Holmdel robotics program, and I watched the success we had this season with our first Tech Challenge teams. I actually captained one of those teams to the state championship. I feel like this involvement puts me in a really good position to highlight that at this school, we do not just have STEM students and then art students. We have students that are involved in a variety of different activities, and that is really important to our well-roundedness as students. Joining the band here at Holmdel High School has given me the opportunity to find my community, and most of my friends are all involved in the arts. It has also given me the opportunity to play in other ensembles at the regional and state level and even reached out to colleges. On days when I was dealing with a lot of stress due to robotics, what got me through my day was band because it was a really important outlet for me. I chose to stay at Holmdel High School because of the arts programs we have here. And I feel like the arts programs are intertwined with the STEM programs here at the high school, and I want the board to think about what will happen to their students when they lose access to these communities and outlets. I want you to understand that the reason I could not leave Holmdel High School is because I couldn't fathom losing the part of my life that was intertwined with the band program here. Seeing the district lose value in the arts hurts me as a student and is going to hurt other students like me. And the district may lose these students to MCVSDs if they don't continue to support these programs. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Zhang, and I live at 7 Ashton Court. I am a current sophomore and also a 2-year member of the Holmdel Jazz Ensemble, board member at the Holmdel Theater Guild, secretary for the class of 2028 Student Council, and features editor of the student newspaper, The Sting. With recent news regarding cuts to the arts program, specifically the elimination of the Holmdel High School dance program, my concerns have extended not only to those directly affected, but to the rest of the various art programs here at Holmdel High School. Since I joined the SATS Jazz Band in 7th grade, with little experience with music outside of school, I have remained an avid member of Holmdel's bands. The sole expertise of Holmdel's music programs have shaped me into the musician I am today. They have transformed me into someone who barely enjoyed music to an award-winning jazz musician at festivals and a competitor for New Jersey's regional and state programs. Without access to Without access and introduction through these programs at Holmdel, I would not have realized my passion for the arts and been able to pursue my talents. In 8th grade, I, along with many other students in the arts, applied to High Technology High School, and I was accepted. After many discussions about my choices for high school with my classmates and my family, I always circled back to one thing: the arts. I realized that I didn't want to go to a school where I didn't have the opportunities that Holmdel offers in the arts. I listened to the music of the bands at Holmdel, attended Holmdel Theater Guild's outstanding productions, and watched Holmdel High School's incredible choir concerts. These programs are a central reason why me and many of my classmates chose Holmdel. The arts remain an essential aspect of the community at Holmdel. If it weren't for the diversity of the arts at HHS, I would not have chosen Holmdel. As our arts department begins to feel the pressure of a difficult budget at Holmdel, I hope the nationwide trend of eliminating arts will not strike Holmdel. According to the National Arts Education Status Report, of over 15 states, including the state of New Jersey, over 8,000 schools and 3.5 million students do not have access to arts or music programs whatsoever. I hope that decisions made within this board will not add to these numbers, but work to prevent them from rising. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah Glassman. I live on 5 Alaca Drive, and I'm in 8th grade. Ever since I was a little kid, the arts have been a huge part of who I am. When I grow older, I want to be on Broadway, and this year I took dance for the first time. Miss Minuccia was an amazing teacher. She taught me so many new techniques, and I felt like I could just be myself in that class. Personally, I have ADHD, which can make things really hard to focus. I'm always fidgeting, and in dance, I just feel free. I get to move, and music is something that always helps me focus. I listen to it in class so I can focus, so dance was just coming easily to me. And in high school, I was really looking forward to all the arts classes, and when I figured out that they were taking away dance, I wondered what was next. Would they take away choir, one of my safe spaces? And honestly, not many high schools have a dance program, which is just going to take away from the students and from the entire school. Dance is just a very important thing to me. In Broadway, you need it, which is what I want to go on to. And once I found out that they were taking it away, I was looking into new high schools. I can't bear to see Miss Minucci get fired. She taught me so many things on technique, about the history behind dance that I never knew. She was an amazing teacher. And there's so many kids here and adults who don't want her to leave, who know that she's amazing, and I don't think that any of us can bear to get rid of her. The arts make schools important. They're just as important as a literacy or math class. They teach us so many things. That's why we need dance. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Andrew Hum, and I live at 1 Riverside Lane. I am a junior here at Holmdel High School. I want to begin by saying that I understand the reality of the situation that we are in, and closing this budget deficit has undoubtedly required an immense amount of work from this board, work that I as a student do appreciate. I am not here to argue that those decisions were easy, or that they came without careful thought, or that these decisions were the fault of anyone here in this room. But while those of you sitting before us may not necessarily be responsible for how we got here, I believe you are responsible for how we move forward. As Brian said, when schools face budget cuts, the arts are almost always on the chopping block, some way or another. This is a known pattern seen across schools all over the nation. We cannot fall in line with that trend. I am here tonight to ask the board to please commit to protecting the arts here at Holmdel. I've been a part of the Holmdel High School band programs for 7 years. I am the brass section leader in the pep band, which I have been in since freshman year. I played in the pit orchestra for the Holmdel Theater Guild and assisted in Holmdel's summer performing arts program when it was run. My friends call me a band kid because that's who I am. I have made it a part of my identity. Please don't take that away from me. For many of us, the arts are the reason we love coming to school. I am incredibly fortunate to be able to walk into a room every day for 53 minutes and make beautiful music with my friends. And my heart goes out to the dance students who will not have that same. That space is where we grow as people and learn to be us. And that is arguably more important than anything that could be possibly learned at school. Some of you know me as the co-editor-in-chief of The Sting, the student newspaper here at HHS. When I covered the 2025 election in the wake of this budget deficit, I interviewed 6 candidates, 3 of whom are sitting here today. And all 6 of them gave me a consistent message. Our schools should not have to choose between academics, athletics, and extracurriculars. We should not have to choose between arts, sports, and other clubs because of how vital they are to a well-rounded student experience. All are essential to a balanced education. I agree with that statement, and I know that all of you sitting before us tonight, 7 of whom I have also interviewed in the past, also agree with that statement. And so does everyone else here in this room. That is why I am asking you tonight to make a commitment to us students. Please commit to protecting the arts in our schools. Please commit to ensuring that this is not the beginning of a continued decline, but a turning point where we reaffirm their value. Because for students like me and all of us here tonight, the arts are not optional. They are a part of who we are, and I urge you to protect them and to protect us. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Kim Hong, and my address is 30 Fox Meadow Lane. I'm a junior who is also in her 5th year of taking choir at Holmdel High School. I am also co-editor-in-chief of Holmdel High School's student newspaper, The Sting, the soprano 2 section leader of treble choir, and recently a member of the Holmdel Theater Guild. I would like to preface this by reiterating that we understand the difficult situation the board is in. We appreciate the efforts that you have put in to resolve the budget deficit as much as possible. A year ago, the New York Post published an article I wrote about our school's choral program, specifically Miss Roberts and her impact on the program's growth since COVID. It was because of my experience with her and the students in choir that I felt compelled to write the article in the first place, winning our school $2,500. Similarly, Holmdel's various arts programs have reaped notable accolades for its students. However, as the New York Post article states, our society as a whole still does not place as much importance on the arts as it is owed. As others before me have said, Holmdel is not unique in what it is doing to our dance program. As I have learned from drafting the article, although the dance program is relatively new, it's been proven in our country that arts education programs that have been established for decades and produce accomplished students are never safe from being the first ones to go when faced with funding issues. I want to emphasize the importance of preserving these programs and the consequences that follow otherwise. Like myself, many of the students in Holmdel's arts programs did not have the means to afford private lessons or the access to out-of-school ensembles. Like myself, many of the talented students in these programs, some of whom are here, would not be the same had they not been exposed to the arts at this school. It is through these programs that we are given the opportunity to explore a different language, to engage in a different mode of thinking, to immerse ourselves in the art of creating art itself, valuable experiences that would otherwise be untouched in traditional classrooms, yet have served its students tremendously in said classrooms. For many of us, the arts have served as both a life-saving comfort and a discipline. I sincerely urge you all to recognize and to not hinder the remarkable growth that has been made by the students and faculty in our arts programs. It is because of the impact your investment in these programs have had on us that we are all here today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tatum Van De Wettering, and I live at 339 Park Ave, Union Beach. As someone who has attended schools in Holmdel since 3rd grade, making the choice to move was not an easy decision. As a prominent art student who is enrolled in AP Art and has a leadership role in the National Art Honor Society, as well as being the founder of the Richie Shaluka Memorial Scholarship that honors my dad, who was an alumni at the Holmdel High School and also valued the arts. I recognize most schools don't have the opportunities, which is one of the main reasons I pushed to stay enrolled in the Holmdel High School's district. Art is my comfort place and somewhere I know I can go when I am stressed or need a place to breathe. Although I'm not enrolled in any of the dance classes, I recognize the important role that it plays in the growth of our school and our students. The arts is something that raises the kids in our school up and joins them together.
As many other students have said, we lose dance first, but what next? The rest of the arts programs? Not everyone feels comfortable in a math or science class, but instead feels valued and challenged in a more creative and interactive class like dance, art, choir, band, theater, and ceramics. As a school who values mental health awareness, it is sad to see that you are debating taking away classes that help to better so many people's mental health and helps kids express themselves through the difficult times of high school. Taking away the arts means taking away a place of comfort for students that enjoy and value the arts. I beg you to please reconsider your plans to cut the art programs. Thank you.
Is anyone else? Okay, so, oh, please. Oh, Ms. DeSero. This is good. We appreciate that.
Okay. Patty DeSero, I'm the HDA Holmdel president. I want to, first of all, thank everybody for coming today to support our school as a whole, especially our programs that we have here. All you kids did a great job advocating for what you want and what you need to be successful and to become great adults. And that's what we try to do here in Holmdel, all of us. I also want to point out something which a lot of people are asking the board to reconsider their decision. But I want to point out that it's a decision that was brought to our board. They're not going around saying we want to cut these programs. It is administration that gives them these ideas in order to cut programs where they can save money. So although some of you might be really angry at the board, they get information and they process it, and then they try to do what's best for everybody here. And it's a really hard job. But in saying that, I'd like to ask the board also to reconsider, because dance costs you nothing. It is a teacher's salary and possibly benefits if that teacher does take it, but that's it. There's no curriculum. There's no supplies. The program pays for itself, but look at what it does to the community. There's other places you can cut, and you should ask yourself, how much is this saving us? For example, I spoke back in August when you guys approved Effective School Solutions to come in and do behavioral help, mental health. You approved to pay that company $155,000 just for this year alone. Do we need that outside company to come in? Are there other places that you can cut that don't affect the students? Those are just the questions I'm going to ask you to go back and ask the administration. We have an assistant superintendent who unfortunately is leaving, but we're going to hire someone in his place. A director of curriculum possibly. Is that necessary right now? Can we save some money to save programs before we cut the programs? You all have very difficult decisions, and like I said, things are brought to you. It's not your fault. I never think anything is your guys' fault because you're just given the information you're given. Where else can you find that money? Find out how much the dance program, by cutting that program, how much is it actually saving you? And then go back and ask, can we find the money elsewhere? I just asked for that. And again, thank you everybody for coming and supporting us. We don't want to lose our arts. We don't want to lose our engineering. We don't want to lose any of that. So before we cut programs in this horrible budget situation, let's take a breath and make sure what else can we do besides cutting programs. Thank you.
Hello, Board. Mike Daniele, 872A Holmdel Road. All these kids, that's pretty sad. I didn't even know about that. I thought it was just the busing. And in reality, they didn't say anything different than she said. Please stop spending money you don't have. I didn't know about the health care and whatnot, but are there other ways? Do you have to be force-fed what the state tells you have to have? Has people done research on that? Okay. I used to work for the state, and every November it was the same thing. They come in, all right, make your Christmas list. What equipment do you need? Our trunks are full. The shelves are full. We don't need anything. Why don't you give it back to the taxpayer? And the busing, what are you going to save? $650,000? Okay. And you're saying that the board is responsible for the sidewalks at $24 to $48 a linear foot. It's going to be a lot more than, and what's happening is you guys are doing this, the board's doing this, and it all comes from the tax, it all comes from the same trough, is all I'm saying. I mean, what these kids said tonight, that should make you were nodding your heads. Yeah, but basically they said the same thing she said. You should go home and try to get excited about trying to save money. Why are those lights on? Why are those lights on? How many times do I go past the ball field? Lights are on. You did talk about electric and everything else. You did talk about that tonight. You got to think of every penny. And the ones that live in town should be, man, they should be just as frustrated as we are. That's all I want to say. Thank you for listening to me.
All right. Before I gonna open up to the board, and I have a bunch of comments, and obviously I've sat here for 12 years, so I get it. I get it probably more than anyone, just because I've been here so long. I know when we did the referendum, it was STEM, if everyone knows what STEM stands for. We actually added an A to it, and I remember when, and I have boys, played baseball, soccer, whatever, but I know a bunch of you girls out there, obviously, and I know how important dance is. And I remember we created the dance studio. It was, I think, the auxiliary gym or the dance studio. I was like, really? And the demand was there, and it was filling the arts. So, but before I want to do that, what I wanted to do, Dr. Harris is here, the high school principal, and I forget who said it, Patty said it. She's right. Obviously, we're unpaid, all 9 of us, unpaid volunteers. We take, we get recommendations and, decisions primarily from Dr. Cascone, who's not here. And obviously, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And I can tell you, I'll have my comments later, but this was powerful. This was really powerful. This matters. This really matters. Like, I've been in this district, a ton of years. Wife went here, everything else. And this is one of the most powerful meetings I've been in the 12 years I've served on this board. And I could name the other 3. One was with a football coach, and one was with the referendum. So, you guys did a great job. But Dr. Harris, could you come up possibly? And Matt or Carlos, can you pull up? I want you guys to see some of the information that we've gotten. So this wasn't haphazardly, let's do this decision, let's do this. So what Dr. Cascone had shared with us, which I think Dr. Harris helped author, is just want you to see, okay, what's the dance program about? What's it about right now? What's the projected, what's going to be next year? Because I, like you guys, have had a lot of the similar comments. Where else can we save? Where else can we reduce? How can we save? And I don't know your dance teacher, but I know it's one person. So I know, like, in my mind, hey, is there ways we still have a week, we still have time, can we still make a change? But I just wanted Dr. Harris just to show everyone here, if they haven't seen it, how many enrollments and all the courses. And I know there's 3 components to it, right? You have the dance classes in SATS and high school. You have the dance team, right, which is sort of separate. And then you have the NJSDA. Did I say that right? No. I had to put on my glasses. Hold on. Yes, NHSDA. So I wrote it down right. Exactly. National Honor Society stands for dance. So Dr. Harris, if you could.
Yeah, the dance team is separate.
Yeah, no, I said that, exactly. But there's 3 components, but they're still sort of, it's all, part of dance. Okay, yeah. So Dr. Harris, speak to that, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. Yep. I got it, misspoke. You know what I'm saying. Thank you.
So some of the information that I was asked to compile was just an audit of the enrollment over the past 2 years, going back to last year, this year, and then the course requests for next year's classes that are taught. So as you see up here, it's broken down by semester with a total of 24 students in semester 1, and then a total of 20 students in semester 2. And then also for the course requirements, or requests rather, for next year, for semester 1 that are in there, which has 27 students, and then an additional 10 students who did not request it for their primary elective. So there would be a total of 37 students. And then if you could scroll down. No. No,
Is there any way to make it larger? I don't know if we're already at max, but it's like minuscule.
24, 25, depending, and then if there's larger.
I'm not sure you're moving that
Some
screen
of
right
our
now.
classes are up to 29. Some of them are not, like dance will only be 9, so yeah, less than, yeah. So all the classes are in our program of studies, and then it's also spoken to students at the middle school level, at the high school level during our course presentations.
Just let Dr. Harrods finish, just because unfortunately this isn't supposed to be an open dialogue, but me personally, I like to keep it open just because this matters. You guys came here, it's 9:30, you're here because you care, so I want to hear your comments. But let Dr. Harrods, I just want you guys just to see what we're dealing with, the numbers. This is real, and obviously if this was fill in for anything else besides dance, these are really low numbers that are hard for the district and for the high school to sustain per se in terms of just enrollment. So that's what was, he's going to.
This is incoming freshmen, and then there was one class taught at SATS for each marking period. What's that? All right, let
him,
finish
please.
So I know Mr. Reddy alluded to the high school dance team, but this does not impact the high school dance team. It was just the numbers of students that participate in both the fall and winter dance. So 28 participants and 16 participants. And of the winter dance team, it was 15 of the 16 from the fall. And then 15 took a dance class out of the 47. And then 7 are from the dance team that took the 27 student requests for next year. As for the National Honor Society of Dance Arts, the students who are currently in the Honor Society and are graduating, they are able to wear their cords. They will continue being members of it. And then those students working towards their 30-point requirement are still eligible through the other avenues that are listed in your rubric and to the accruement of points so that they can also be recognized as members of that honor society. Okay.
Matt, Carlos, can you just scroll?
Yeah, so
Can we enlarge the numbers, you think?
this was the high school requests for incoming freshmen as well as our sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
So can I just interject? So unless the data is wrong, and I have no idea, right? So we look at what's presented to us, and we're not going to question if a total number of 27 participants across the whole program. So I just want to be really clear. Obviously, with all the tough decisions that we had to consider, where to scale back, and I will echo what President Reddy did say. So when you only look at the numbers, and this is not to say you guys are just numbers, but when we had to make really hard decisions across all of the areas with same criteria, right? So we have to be fair and say, hey, based on all the different subjects, do we have the right number of coverage for teachers to make sure that anything that's a required subject, and then, of course, anything that's a required subject, you have to have the right amount of coverage, and not to say, and it's easy to just assume that the arts, because it is a trend typically, where it just goes by the wayside because, not necessarily because we don't care about it, but when we're presented with, hey, we have to look at the same criteria across all the different subjects, and then there's electives, and then what's the enrollment, right? So when we're presented with, hey, across all grades, and I hear that there's a lot of questions about what about, so we can look into it, I don't know, but we've heard that across all grades, however many that is, there's 27. So when you're taking a look, it's all, and I hear what you're saying, so maybe we can go back and take a look. But when you're looking at that, you're like, wow, there's not that much of an interest. That's kind of what jumps off the page. But I will echo what President Reddy said tonight. I can't imagine that from the impact and everyone echoing the same sentiments that every girl who's come up here, and boy, everybody who's come up here, who's so well-spoken, so confident, right? Like, I can't imagine that that's a coincidence, and it really shows the impact of this class. And I don't know where this is going to end up, but I will say I was very moved by everyone showing up, not just in numbers, but how everyone showed up with assurance and how heartfelt, and it really did make a difference. So I see a lot of hands. I don't know how you want to address it.
Let's let Dr. Harris finish. If
So,
you're not
well,
done.
because I did ask earlier for the SATS numbers. So what we were given, somebody said she has 100 students. She doesn't. I have her schedule with the number enrolled for her whole day. There are currently, and that includes current SATs and high school students, 48 students currently taking dance. So if we're projecting out for So I'm just I honestly don't know exactly how I'm reading it, but this is what I'm telling you.
Right. So here's how
It is saying semester 1 and semester 2. This is what I'm reading, right? Okay. So I'm not gonna. But what I'm saying. So I'm just telling you. This is the information that I have right now, and I just wanted to say that, we hear you, and we're going to go. I have a lot of questions to go back to administration with, right? And so this isn't, whether or not this is the final decision or not. Like, we do have a week, and based on listening to you guys and some of the points, we're going to have our own questions to come up with, right? So it's not in vain that you're here. So.
Right, and I can tell you the same thing. Like, I wrote down here, personally, as one of 9 board members, and we do have a week or things like this, and I look at worst case scenario in my mind. Okay, say it's eliminated, which I don't want it to be. Okay, that studio is still going to stay there, and budgets can get better. You can find ways to be more creative the following year. Relax. Hold on. Let me finish, please. And again, this isn't supposed to be an open dialogue both ways, but again, I'm going to allow that because this is important. But what I can tell you is my request of the superintendent, and he's the only person that works for us in the district, again, all unpaid volunteers here, is I'm going to ask him to look again, look harder, find a way. I know the numbers don't make sense per se, if it was physics, if it was chemistry, if it was something like that. But this is sort of different in a way. Dance is a different animal or a unique thing. So I'm going to at least ask that because I see the impact it has had. And I've been to so many of these shows over the years, and I know the arts it's not just the theater, it's not just the band, it's the dance. If some of you have older siblings, years ago, we had an issue with football. We had football. It's a little different, but it jogged my memory where we had the band wasn't getting varsity letters, things like this. And without the music, you don't have dance. And without dance, you don't have music. And I was glad that the board identified that and we fixed that. So my hope is, obviously, we have the BA here. She's our chief financial officer. You might, call her as well, to see if there's other ways. Because I know we have asked that in our leadership meeting last week. How else can we do it? Can we still look at it? Because I still have hope. I don't know if someone said that. I still have hope. It's not a fate to complete. Like, we're going to definitely be, okay, this is going to have to happen. So that's my comments. I mean, Dr. Harris, if there's anything else. I just wanted to show you so you guys saw what we're being presented. And like Kim said, we also had the SATs numbers that we didn't put up there. But technically does the teacher have enough student? That answer is probably right now no. But we're still going to try to see what we can do, where we can save. Patty, if she's still here, she speaks truth. I don't know, are we going to have back and forth? Do you guys have a lot of questions?
Can I just...
Yeah. Let me do this, please. Let me loop it up to the rest of the board, because I'm sure the rest of the board has comments. And normally you come to the mic one time, but again, this is different, and this is our town, right? And this is our budget and our taxes. So I'm cool with it if you ladies and gentlemen want to come back and have a similar comment, but please, anyone else on the board have comments?
I know you have a lot of questions. I think we're going to allow more public comment, but send emails with the information so that it can get to us, right? Because that's the best way for us to take a look, because we're not going to go back tonight, because, So, again, I had mentioned this earlier. This engagement is what this community needs, and our children are leading the way tonight. So it's very powerful message to our community about many issues. And so the advocacy was amazing. And I think we all have so many questions to go back with. But again, follow up with emails so we can really lock it in during over the next week before we have to approve that final budget.
And I just want to say, I'm sorry, Dr. Clore, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
If there is a discrepancy between the numbers that you seem to have and we have, we are certainly going to look at it. We went by the numbers that we thought made sense to us. So I'm sure we can clarify the discrepancy.
I just want to say that I have a freshman who took dance last year. She took dance this year. She requested a schedule to have dance again. She was, she's looking forward. She was looking forward to trying to get her chord and her her concentration in VPA. So this is she came to me immediately like, did you cut Miss Manu? So as that went out. So I am personally affected by it. So, and yet, we will be faced with some hard choices. As the students, as you do come up, this is not a debate. You can ask, but we're not, we only have what we have. So you can present your information, but we're not going to debate you guys in this. So just.
Right. And do know we are going back to this administration and the superintendent who will, go back with Dr. Harris and still keep looking and still trying to find a way if it's possible. I mean, because we know this is important. You guys aren't here at 9:40 on a Wednesday night because this isn't important. So if you do want it to come up, please make it quicker. But yeah, I see a hand up there.
Maybe 1 minute for the second round.
There you go. Thank you, Dr. Clore.
This is less of a question than it is a statement, but when I was in 7th grade, I was not informed that there was a dance class by my guidance counselors. I didn't know that there was a dance class until my sophomore year of high school when I actually saw people going into the dance studio. That could be a reason that there's not much participation is because not only do people not know about it because they didn't have it in Village and in Indian Hill, but people are discouraged from it. I had to fight my way into choir. I mean, I put in my schedule that I wanted to be in choir, and my guidance counselor was like, are you sure you don't want to take this? Are you sure you don't want to take this elective instead? It'll help you more. And I'm like, no, I need this for me. So I just wanted to point out maybe that's why there's not much participation is because it's discouraged in this, school.
Yeah. Thank you. That might be the case, but I can tell you that's actually a very good point because I know the program of studies that Dr. Harris and I think Casey had produced or published last month is it doesn't go to the 7th. I know when my kids were in SATs, they didn't really know what the program of studies was in high school because they weren't in high school yet.
But they do get to choose the electives. Like my son just chose electives going into SATs and dance is on there.
Dance is on there.
All right, good.
It's on there.
Thank you.
So it's there.
Because I know dance 1, dance 2, none of those courses existed 6-7 years ago, I remember. So, they've been newer. Please.
My name is Avery Castellano. I'm a junior here, and I'm also part of NHSDA. And I know you mentioned how seniors would still get to graduate with honors and with their cords this year. But for me and my fellow students who are also in NHSDA, and I have been since sophomore year, and I've worked extremely hard in this program, and we perform at the Senior Center. And we put on a show every year. And I was looking forward and was expecting to graduate with honors and with my cords. And so I just have a question for you, and what would that become without Miss Minucci?
We had the same question, very logical question, just like if you take a different, thing where you get another chord, it means a lot. Like I know my kids worked their butt off for whatever it was, core concentrations or whatever it might have been. I do know we had the same question for Dr. Harris. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's going to stay. There's still going to be some tweaks and figure out how they're going to do it, but it's going to still stay there. So if you're a junior, if you're a sophomore, and you've been working toward this, we're not going to pull the rug from underneath them. Because like I said before, say we have to make this vote. My hope is, future boards we can still repoint and put in a, dance program doesn't have to die. It can come back. Budgets can be better. But I can tell you from the Dance Honor Society, I believe that's supposed to still stay exactly as it is. They might have to tweak it from certain things, but I think it should be based on most of the way you guys have the evaluation and the criteria now. So be assured, if you're juniors, you're still working for it, that's not going to go away. Is that answer? So yes to your question.
That's what
a hard yes.
Yeah.
Hello again. My name is Aliana Miravallis. I live at One Side Core Run, Holmdel, New Jersey. My question was, I realized we were talking strictly a lot about numbers and enrollment. I do realize that we have an aquaponics lab that, just quickly, show of hands, how many of you know what aquaponics is or have visited at least once? And I was having a conversation with my AP English teacher, and she was asking how much that probably cost our school.
That was a good question. That was free, actually. Thanks to HFE, the Holmdel Foundation Education Excellence Group. And you're right, it's brand new. There's probably a ton of people that don't know it, especially if you're not in high school, but it costs zero.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, though.
So I am hearing kind of like a repeat comment that can we just be better with, maybe making awareness, and this is not directed at us, I'm just saying if we have these resources and whether or not they cost us anything, because I know we have that amazing fundraiser group behind us, but let's make it more known so people could take advantage of this stuff.
I can tell you, I know they have, but it always becomes who listens, but that's a whole different conversation. But yes, the aquaponics thing was, and it's very, very new, and I think it was just this past few months or whatever. Please.
Okay, so when I was in dance, during the performance, the band room and the choir room, the hallways, the wings, it was filled to the rim. There were so many people, and there was practically overflowing, and that's not even including the people who were helping out in the event, so there are not small numbers in that classes. And when we were getting taught about the classes in high school, they didn't say anything about the theater programs. They talked about science, financial stuff, business, all the new classes for that. But did they say anything about dance programs? No. The only thing that I saw about arts was there was a little thing on a slideshow that said choir, and you could barely even read it. They didn't even say anything about that. They were talking about the other things. I didn't see dance on there. I didn't see any of the other options. Didn't talk about any of the types of choir, types of band. So they're not really informing us that well. And there are so many people who I know in the younger grades who are going into SATs who love theater, and one of my friends brought to my attention that they know at least 30 people that wanted to do dance just from their class. So it's unfair.
Thank you. And I can tell you on that, thank you, that's actually a good point. We'll make sure that Dr. Harritz and Chantel, the SATS principal, is aware when we have the open house every October, or is it September, I believe, whenever it is, for the incoming freshmen, because that is important. I mean, they highlight everything. It should make sure that we highlight, hey, we have a dance program and what that entails.
So, I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's dual enrollment opportunity for Dance 2 and Honors Dance 3. What's happening with that? Is that the same with the chords, or are we going to get to use that towards college?
Dr. Harritz, do you want to take that one?
It would no longer exist.
Right.
So
Because you are right, there is that program. But
So let's say I'm a senior, but Avery's a junior, and so is Aliana, and they both took Dance 2 and Dance 3. So they paid for their dual enrollment
No,
course.
it would, if they took it this year, it'd be fine, but for next year, there just wouldn't
Right.
But
be.
it's Dance 2 as well. So did you guys take Dance? Yeah. So they paid for it. Are they going to get to use that? Or?
They paid for it this year. We didn't, no one paid for it for next year yet.
Right.
Right, it's just next year it wouldn't exist.
Right.
If it gets cut, next year it won't exist.
So it won't exist. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Ms. Bachman?
Hi, yes. I just have one request when you do when you look at the numbers again. I noticed that you guys included dance team, which isn't affiliated with the dance program in Miss Minuccia. But what is the musical that she choreographs each year. So I would just recommend if you relook at the numbers, maybe just take into consideration the numbers from that and how many people are affected when she leaves, because she does do a lot for us. Thank you.
Agreed.
So I don't really know that much about finances, but back to what Aliana was talking about the aquaponics lab. I know we were donated this by the HFE, but my question is, why are we being donated? I think it's a beautiful thing. It's great. But my question is, why are we being given donations that are being put towards things that our school doesn't really use or need? I think it's amazing that this was done for us, but my question is, why aren't we being given donations that would help the students? Because I'm in APES, I know plenty of people in different classes, and no one has really gone to the aquaponics lab. It's not really a thing. So why are we being donated things that aren't helping us, and why aren't we being donated maybe money that could help fund these programs? If that makes sense.
I mean, I just want to say that as of next year, there is an elective, there is a course that goes along with the aquaponics lab as of next year. So, you know, whether or not
I think that donation was directed to that. The donation was specifically for that.
Yeah, we don't get to necessarily choose what HFE donates to. So it's not something that we're suggesting, really. I think it's a conversation,
Correct.
but they really kind of dictate.
Like, what do you call the new, Dr. Harris, what's the new one they donated, the self-enclosed ecosystem greenhouse, or in the high school, down the hall? In Mr. Graham's office? Yeah, okay. So if you haven't seen it, it's wildly crazy and cool, and it's very new, and obviously it's impacting a ton of students in terms of, like, you know, all the different fish and different, you know, plants and all the things that go with it. But every year they donate, just for your edification, whether it's Village, Indian Hill, SATS, or the high school, a different type thing. Like years ago, they did the upstairs in the gym, the physical fitness lab, or the
They've
rowers
done
and things.
arts and music. I think the band room in SATS. I think I saw a plaque.
The band room in Indian Hill with Miss McCarthy, if you remember that one. So there's a lot of really good ones that impact you, and there's others that may not impact you. Absolutely true. They've done playgrounds, things like this, and like Mrs. Lopresti said, we don't get to dictate where they do it. They consult with the superintendent and the administration. Say, hey, here's what we're thinking. What do you need? And then there's all sorts of mini grants that they do as well. But you're spot on. It'd be nice to, you know, like, make sure that
I believe that
things are
gala is
good
actually this weekend. If your parents are going, perhaps they have an open audience with the HFE board to advocate for some other projects. Maybe that might be a good opportunity.
Even ask Mr. Jess over there. You know, his dad's on the HFE. He's one of the older people on the board for a while, so he can ask him even. You know.
Okay.
But thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yep. Weiner?
I'm Emily Weiner. I know that you briefly talked about this before, but if you are still trying to keep the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, and there are given prerequisites to that class, and you have to take certain dance classes in order to be in it, like, what's going to happen?
Right, that's going to still have to get reworked, but on a macro level, it's going to stay. It's not going away. Dr. Harris and the administration will have to figure out exactly to your question. I don't think that answer is absolutely baked yet, Dr. Harris. Is that true? Yeah. So, Emily, depending what happens with the dance program, they'll have to possibly tweak or pivot of how they're going to handle it. But do know that it's not going away. It's going to stay there. And I remember when we put it into place a bunch of years ago, I was like, really? I was like, dance honor? Again, I don't know dance, but I know how impactful and how helpful it's been. I know how helpful it's been for students that are in college now. On the resume, it definitely mattered, and it definitely had you stand out from other potential students in other states, other districts, other areas around the country. So, it'll still be there for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I just have a quick question. I just want to know what percentage of the debt would be solved by cutting dance? Like, what percentage?
What was that? Can you say?
Yes. What percentage of the debt would be solved by cutting the dance program?
I could leave that to Deb, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, we have a $72 million budget, so you could do the math. Yeah. It's not a massive thing, and thank you, sir. And probably exactly one of the reasons why, in my mind, it's hard to make cuts, and especially cuts that impact students. In all the years I've sat here, it's the one thing I don't want to do, because this district is who it is because of all the programs that we have offered and things like this. I don't know dance, but I don't know many other high school districts that have dance.
So
and I'm happy to have it. But
because you haven't been, like, I'm sure you obviously have not paid attention to our Board of Ed meetings, which is fine, really. But, but you can. But we're cutting, this budget as presented is cutting 20 professional staff. 20 staff members, and their position, like 20 professionals, and then on that's just certified staff, of which Ms. Minutia is or dance is one staff member, but there's 20 positions being cut plus others, right? We have administrative assistants on top of that. We have lunch aides on top of that. Like there's, there's a lot of positions being cut, and I know you're here to talk about one that's very important to you, and we so appreciate that. But we estimate that every staff member is, the average is $100,000 when you think about, like, from a lunch aide up to a certified staff member. But a certified staff member most likely is around $140,000. That's, like, when you talk about health benefits that are, and pension and stuff like that, that's rolled into it.
And that is also increasing taxes. We were also given option of cutting more positions in order to reduce taxes a little bit less. So it is all a question of how many positions and how much taxes it finally evens out, and it's not a great choice.
I mean, it's not good. I mean, the highest number we had was about 49 individuals, different jobs, like Kim said, that wouldn't have a job next year. And there's been a lot of resignations, there's been some retirements, things like this. And I can tell you, which I'm sort of happy about in the worst possible scenario, is from village school all the way to the high school, every school has taken a piece, meaning a first grade teacher, a second grade teacher, a third grade teacher, all the way through. It's not on any one department or any one group. It's just everyone, the collective effort. And like you've heard earlier, the busing. And, we were, looking to outsource custodians. And there's been so many conversations about closing the schools for HYAA after hours, because we fund that bill. The township doesn't fund that. And I can tell you, next year, these conversations aren't going away, unless the budgets change dramatically. And those conversations there'll be more hard decisions to make if these budgets don't get adjusted and fixed. I mean, that's just only reality. And, I sat here in this seat 3 years ago, and 3 years ago I saw it, not because I'm smart, but because we just saw the numbers, and they don't add up. And unfortunately, this is the collateral damage of that. And, next year it could be, I'm just glad, I don't want to say I'm glad it's 28 or 26. I'm glad it's not 49. That has true impact on classroom sizes and everything else once we start going to that level. And Holmdel, as you see it now, it's not going to be Holmdel as you see it in a couple of years if we continue this trend. And I know Ms. LaPresti and Ms. Damari, who was in the room earlier, we've all seen it. This has been a bunch of years in the making, and now, here we are. So we'll keep working, though.
One comment I'd like to make, too, is that, I think I've heard this a lot tonight, but when we're looking at the proposed cuts that are on the table, we're not singling out the arts. I played in the pit for HTG2 when I went here. I know it made me a better person. It helped me find myself. I'm a physician now. That experience with the arts made me a better physician. But the cuts, we'll talk about that later, but the issue is that, it's across the board. It is truly across the board. And Pete's right, if we don't fund the reserves now, if we don't raise our taxes, cut our busing, and piss off the community by cutting programs that somebody's going to like no matter what, it's only going to be worse next year.
Thank you, Greg. Ms. Cho?
Sarah Cho for Putnam Court. Where do we find a budget that itemizes each line? Because what was presented at the last board meeting was kind of a pie graph and rough estimate of how much money of the 75 million budget goes towards X, Y, and Z. We would really
They're on the county
go ahead.
website, right? I think the budgets are presented to the county website, right? So I think you can
And
download the data.
it's on the Homedale Board of Ed
Right,
webpage
okay.
under
Okay.
Finance.
And I have looked at
there's
it.
the ACFR for the past since 2022.
No.
This year's budget has not yet been approved by the executive council.
Right, so it's not up
However-
there, but I'm saying
however,
the
it does
historical
not-
ones
It
are
will
up
be-
there since
They are,
2022.
not by line, though. I want to know how
Well,
much
it's
is
the
going
ACFR.
towards Chromebooks for kindergarten, first, second, third graders. Why does my kindergartner get a Chromebook? Why is money being spent on tech for a kindergartner? That's the kind of digging in
bills
that
list,
I
right?
would
Is that on our
expect
bills
from a
list?
Board of Ed before you're making a proposal for a budget that impacts all of these children. These kids are amazing. They're smarter than us, okay? I'm a millennial. These guys are way smarter than every one of us, okay? The way they advocated tonight was absolutely stellar, okay?
Agreed.
We need to give them what they want because they deserve it. And her salary, if I had to guess, is what, 100, maybe a little over that? You're telling me that there's nowhere in the budget where you could find $100,000? Well, then you're not digging deep enough, okay? Mr. Sarro, that was the first time that I ever heard of this, whatever it was, that a study that was done that cost $155,000. Was that ever presented to the budget or to the public? So here's the thing,
It was discussed at a meeting last year, because I think Dr. Moglia talked about it and justified it, that it was actually saving us money.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are a lot of, you're asking a lot of different questions, so we want to be able to give you a response. So
Ms.
we have
Cho,
to,
we-
if you
I
can just
don't
go
need
question.
responses. I'm
Yeah.
just throwing
Okay.
these
Agree with
these
you.
questions that are out in my mind because I really think we need, as a public, to see a line by line budget. This, whatever was thrown in the, screen last time does not tell me anything. And I would like to trust, but that trust is eroded, okay? And I'm not trying to make it personal. I really am not. But when you're telling me that perhaps there is an administrative person who's going to be cut and then replaced by someone else, is that true?
Can I just say something? Every business meeting, when we have a board meeting, the bills are attached. So everything we spend is there every single month. So you can go, and that's line by line.
That's
So you-
attached for you. It has to be redacted to some degree for the public.
But
It has to
there-
be Oprah request.
Okay, oh, so
And
the
that-
Oprah, I'm so sorry.
And that's what I was going to say. I was like, do I know every dollar that's spent in the budget?
you
Of course I
should
don't.
not.
No, I
But you
should not. There's paid professionals that do this. She's a CPA, chief financial officer. That's their job. So we get the budget. Do I know how many baseballs were bought? No. Do I know how many softballs were bought? I do not.
We
But
should know that. As taxpayers, we should know where
you
every
can
single
open
dollar.
request it, I believe, to the BA.
Oh, when I Oprah requested
You know.
information on as to how our health insurance went from the state health insurance to the Aetna health insurance, I did request an Oprah request, and I was met with, you can find everything in the board minutes. You want me to go through every board minute from the last 6 years, look through the videos, and then figure out who decided to change our health care to Aetna. And I'm not saying that was a wrong decision. I'm just saying that was a decision that I did request via Oprah, and I was shut down and told to do it myself. So when you tell me these things, I am at a point now where we want a line-by-line budget.
Okay, well,
we
here's
do.
where I'll put a pin in it. Make the
That's fine.
request, email the board,
Absolutely.
and we'll see, as much as we're able to, as much as the business administrator
Thank
and the
you.
administration, and the superintendent is able to provide that information. I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer.
We
If there's
deserve to know
information
where
that you
every
deserve,
dollar goes.
Absolutely. This is not a private organization.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
Is,
There's nothing being
It's our
hidden.
tax money.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we'd be happy, actually, if you paid attention line by line. It would be a nice thing.
Yes, sir.
I am frustrated, as I think a lot of us in here are. I'm also very embarrassed at the fact that I keep hearing, I don't know, that's someone else's responsibility, and you don't know where and what is happening with this dance program. You are cutting a program that so many hold so close to their hearts without knowing any information about the program itself. This is not fair, this is not right, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Thank you. Not true.
So I'm in 7th grade, and I'm really happy that I got to be in dance second marking period this year. And I know the numbers show that there might have not been that great of an interest in dance, but I know so many of my friends that chose dance as an elective when they were picking the class they want to take, and they didn't get in. So it might be less accurate then, because there's so much people that had interest but didn't get the opportunity to take the class.
Thank you. We're going to find that out, because I know that, to make sure the numbers are right, because we don't know the exact number of kids that, we don't work in the district, but we'll find out.
But it's also a scheduling conflict. So sometimes, dance might
Right.
be something that my daughter, so for next year, let's say that a dance stays, she put in for it, but that doesn't mean that it fits in with all of her other classes, so then she might not get it, right? Like, that happens year to year for any elective, right? Because they are electives. So, you know, so some people do want it and then just don't get it because it doesn't fit in their schedule, so.
Thank you.
So we spent a lot of money this year on an anti-bullying system, but this passing Friday, I got bullied. I get bullied a lot, to be honest, and I don't see how these are helping, because sometimes kids are kids. They're going to be rude, they're going to be mean, and like speeches won't always stop them. They're going to be immature. It takes years for them to get better. I've noticed it doesn't change always. Sure, they can get in trouble, and that's good that they will, but maybe we should spend some money to keep the things that help me to actually stay happy, because dance and theater helps my mental health so much. I have a lot of stress, and this is one of my like safe spaces. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Shari Steinfeld, 6 Malvern Road. I have a question. In the curriculum, there's arts requirements for the kids in the high school. So I think they have to take 2 semesters of arts. Is that a proposed change that's going to be made in the curriculum? I guess Dr. Harris perhaps could best answer that question, because that'll change a lot for a lot of these kids.
That's a state requirement, so it's not something that can change, but there's other VPA requirements in the program of studies. Like, there's a ton of what's considered VPA. So it would just be a reduction of dance would be removed, so a reduction of some choices, but the 2 semesters cannot change. That is the minimum requirement by the state.
Can the kids choose to? I have a senior who's a competitive dancer and also co-captain of the varsity dance team. So would that change their ability to use outside dance?
It would not. You can actually apply for option 2.
Right, they do that
And,
instead of
and
gym.
that would, no, but it's not just gym. You can actually apply for option 2 for dance credit or any other credit. It is.
That was never made aware to our students that they could apply for the arts credits as option 2. It says varsity.
It has to be approved, but you can put in. It is on the website. It has been discussed at multiple Board of Ed. But I'm sorry you guys don't come, but it has been discussed.
It's not on the program of studies or the option 2 forms on the website when
We can table it, but I can agree with you, because I remember my boys, you know, they played baseball, soccer, so they didn't take gym. And then when I heard a few years ago that you could do option 2, say you're a super smart kid at Latin, all of a sudden you could essentially test out of a program or basically use option 2, not just for gym or physical education in this state.
Last month, we talked about option 2 for ASL. Like taking ASL to meet the language requirement. Like, it can be for anything as long as it's put in for and approved, right? So you have to come up with.
But as a parent, when you go in and you fill out the form, I'm going to tell you, for option 2, it lists varsity, junior varsity, outside athletics. It does not list anything about the arts.
It sounds like that's an opportunity to make it better, because I agree with you, because I remember when I heard it, I was like, wait, it's just, option 2 has only been around about 8-9 years, whatever it is, not forever. And I remember when it first came out, I was like, oh, this is great, because those kids playing 3 varsity athletes. A Jack Cannon, he does not need physical education, right? You know, so he's going to go do whatever, but so many kids don't need it.
Agreed.
And if it can apply to academics, never knew, and that's something, Dr. Harris, that's something maybe we can at least publicize better to the incoming freshmen and to the current students that are in the district, because I think you guys are probably making schedules now or whenever that is. I think this is about that time of year, to make sure that they're aware if there are other kids that could, you know, benefit from option 2 or would want it, to look into it and if it would fit within their schedule.
So just a quick question. Oh, sorry, are you still? It's about the bills. I want to know why they're redacted. Like, why aren't they, Kyle, if you can, yeah.
The redactions are primarily payments to students for like special education payments, reimbursements.
But not to our vendors. Like, if there'd be a list of exactly where we're spending.
You get them in unredacted form. If they were requested by a member of the public, we'd have to redact personally identifiable information.
Could we redact it and then post it so that it's just there, or?
The problem is that the time.
Okay.
Right? We can't do it in time for the board meeting all the time.
Could it be though, like later on, so it's out there? Yeah.
After it can be done, but we can't. Sometimes the bills list is being done up until the day before and it's just too time consuming.
Okay.
So.
The other point I wanted to make was we talk a lot about numbers. We don't talk a lot about these kids' numbers. I have a graduating senior going to a wonderful university, a beneficiary of Miss Minuccia's dance program, the high school dance team, a competitive dancer. We should look at the numbers of the academics of these kids. These kids are stellar academic students. I have a STEM kid who's a dancer. I mean, I think you all need to look beyond the numbers, 27, dance. I think you need to look at who these students are and what they contribute to We Are Holmdel, this society, our community, why this program exists, and how amazing they are as students, not just arts kids. So thank you.
Agreed, thank you.
I know you guys mentioned earlier how I think the numbers were like you were going to get rid of like 49 teachers, if that was correct. Like,
That was one of the, you know,
Yeah.
as we were
That was
working through
worst
the
case scenario.
$6-7 million deficit, we had to find the money. Regardless of where we want to find it, we had to find it. And that was one of the, Dr. Cascone had given us like 9 options, 9 different menus of what we can do, where we could find the money. And the worst case scenario was around 49 staff.
And that was if we didn't use the healthcare adjustment.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, just like when I heard that, like my mind went to right away, like you can get rid of first grade teachers, fourth grade teachers, but like first grade's always going to be there. But like you get rid of Mrs. Minuccia, like dance is gone. So that's just something I like wanted to throw out there.
Absolutely, and I don't disagree, and that's why I said it's sort of different,
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
You know, first grade is first grade. It's a little more like
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
very black and white. Where dance is just a different. It's not the same as everything else, and that's why my hope is when we talk to Dr. Castone this week and during the week, if there's ways we can possibly find it. That's my commitment. And again, I have no dog in the fight per se. I was like, I know a lot of you ladies and gentlemen here, and I don't want to see it go away. I really don't. I mean, because it pains me because, you know, people said it's your safe space. I mean, that's important. I mean, every day you come to school, if there's a thing you like, everything else, I got to go to math, I got to go to science. You know, like, oh, I look forward to going to theater, or I look forward to seeing Dr. D, who's the Dr. DeVivo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing guy, right? I mean, kids love, I mean, I've been to so many shows when I would see Rocco on the stage and everything else. Love that. So, yeah, I hear you. I think we all hear you. And I'm hopeful this conversation isn't over. I really am. And, you know, I want to thank all you guys for coming. And, you know, it's 10:15 at night. So there's still more. Bring it. But if not, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hearing us and everything. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's not personal. It's business, right, for all this. So since that's the end of public comment, I know we do not have to go to executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn? Second? Thank you all. Everyone have a good night.